Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. I'm backwards. I know. That's because I'm on Hangouts. Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And today we have some good stuff. Why does this feels so weird? I'm looking at my face. Normally my face is off to the side. Now I'm looking right at it because of how this is laid out, and it's creepy. It's creepy, but we're doing it. We're doing it live, looking at my own face, and I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. Today we've got quite a show. There are lots and lots of questions about things going on today, and I have answers. I have answers for you. That's good. Never had that before. I have answers for you. And so we're going to get into those answers. We're going to really get it. No, I'm mostly kidding. Except that we are going to get into them. We've got, let's see, first things first. We will cover the GoFundMe issue. I'm going to cover it now, and I'm going to cover it kind of halfway through the video to make sure new people get the same message. We'll talk about it. So we've got the GoFundMe issue. We've got, I'm briefly going to mention, the Kyo, what is the anime studio in Japan? I can't pronounce it. Where apparently was the target of arson. And several people dead. Last I saw was 33. 33 people confirmed dead, but maybe it's higher by now. I haven't really been following. And there's a GoFundMe for them as well, set up by Sentai. So I encourage you to donate to Sentai's GoFundMe. Kyoto Animation. No, KyoAni is the studio. Anyway, so Kyoto Animation, or KyoAni is for short, from what I hear. Lots of people dead, lots of destruction. Go check out the GoFundMe from Sentai. It is doing very well. I think there's somewhere they raised well over $500,000 very quickly, and I think that's something that might merit some support. That's up to you. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what work they produce. I don't follow. I'm just tipping my toes into the insipid water that is American anime. So go check that out. The next thing we will talk about after that. Well, I mean, I'll just mention it again at some point. But the next thing I will mention after the GoFundMe thing is Stan Dahlin. I teased this morning a caption from the Affidavit of Stan Dahlin. Now, I have to say, I've had some thoughts. I've had not Monica's and Marky's. I've had some real thoughts with a GH in it. Some thoughts about what's been going on. Because I don't know if you guys were as curious, and yes, I'm repping a backwards Dragon Ball Z shirt. It's forward in real life, but I am repping my Dragon Ball Z shirt tonight, just to trigger the libs on the libs. But I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, but here's what I thought. If were I a simp, so were I Monica and Ron, or their attorneys, what would I do if a complete jerk attorney in Minnesota, who I hate very much, decided to start airing our depositions and talking over them and giving his opinions and really just torquing off a bunch of people? What would I do? So here's me. I'm vindictive, though, so maybe take this for what it's worth. The moment that the Minnesota attorney shows the first half of Ron Toye's deposition video, the first thing that I do is I release all of the depositions on a non-monetized channel or on the channel of someone friendly to me, and I release all of them in full with no commentary. I do it that night. Even while the first Toye deposition video is going, I do it that night because I want to cut the legs out from underneath the Minnesota lawyer who has been just pounding my face into the desk for the past 6 months. That's what I want to do. I want to stop that guy from making money. I want to stop people from watching his show. I want to stop everything he's about. They've openly wanted this for a very long time. They tell me every day that they want it. Why in God's name didn't they release the videos? You know these videos cost money, right? And they're not, I mean, when I say these videos cost money, this is not a $20 DVD. These videos cost a lot of money. They cost thousands of dollars for all of them, okay? Maybe they can't afford it. I was thinking about this because someone said, well, now that I've played the videos, they have all this extra ammunition. It's like, well, they had them though. So they didn't need this extra ammunition. But did they? Did they have them? Because if they've only paid their attorneys somewhere north of $10,000 and somewhere south of $20,000 for all three attorneys, maybe they don't have them. Maybe they couldn't buy them. And maybe, just maybe, that's why they didn't release them. I thought they just hated their supporters, and I think they still do. But maybe they just couldn't afford them. Because, like I said, if they're somewhere, if they've paid, we'll say, we'll split the baby. We'll say it's 15 grand. Let's say they've paid 15 grand, but they're in for 45, and that's conservative. They're in for 45. Maybe they're in for 60. Who's gonna pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for deposition videos? Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna fork that money out? I don't know. It's not gonna be their attorneys. Their law firms aren't gonna go into debt. Well, let's just say they wouldn't be. The law firm probably wouldn't be going into debt, but which firm? Which firm's going to buy it, right? Are all the firms going to split? So each one's going to contribute $2,000. I'm sure the bosses will be real happy about that one, right? The senior partners will say, "Oh yeah, you can take $2,000 of our firm's money and put it towards this thing. Make sure we get paid first." And when the other one says the same thing and the other one says the same thing, well, now you've got a problem. I bet they couldn't afford it. And that's extremely funny to me. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true at all. But it makes me laugh very hard because that's the obvious play. The obvious play is to go ahead and release them on your own terms and cut out the legs and cut off the momentum of the other party. But they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Oh, they didn't want to release it. Yeah, yes, they did. Of course they did. Why'd they release 57% of a transcript? Why'd they release a transcript that left out a lot of problematic testimony for Monica and Ron? Why did they do that? Because they wanted to humiliate Vic, of course. They wanted the narrative. They released it before my video started. Part of the reason why the videos happened is because, you know. So there's that. But yeah, so we are going to, I'm still laughing at that. I still find that funny. This whole thing, you know, I warned them. And people keep saying that me saying, you can't afford this lawsuit is somehow evidence that the lawsuit is meritless or a slap or something like that. No, this is just the truth. You can't afford it. No one can afford this outside of, you know, the literal, not the 1%, the higher than 1%. And even if you can't afford it, why would you want to? Why would you want to? Why would you want to give some horrific lawyer $100,000 to defend you against anything? So, no, it's not, the lawsuit is not designed to drain the funds of the other parties. The lawsuit just will, in fact, drain the funds of all parties. One of them just happens to have a GoFundMe. Now, let's talk about that GoFundMe. Many people are rightly concerned about the GoFundMe, okay? I tell you what, my email is full of GoFundMe emails today. They have decided that the names, some of the names, a few of them anyway, just a couple, got a lot of them, were maybe in violations of Rule 8 and 12 of the GoFundMe. Now, they have gone ahead and provided me a let's see. Let me pull it up. I've got a let me pull up the email. I'm going to take a snip of the email because I'm going to remove the rep at email's name, at GoFundMe's name from this. And, oh, whoops. This is, hold on. This is not the one I want. Not the one I want. Okay. All right. This is an important email. I know this is weird. But this is an important email from GoFundMe, okay? Are we over 9,000 again? No. We are? What? Over 9,000? That's impossible! Okay, anyway. So we've got... Here's the email. I've clipped it out. Because again, I don't want anybody contacting GoFundMe and trying to talk to the rep. So let me just see. Okay, here's the message. Whoa. And this has some very important information that I want to make very clear because some people are concerned and I want to alleviate some of those concerns. So, let's read this on the stream here. Where are we? Oh my goodness. I've got everything messed up. That should be good. That should be good. All right. So the GoFundMe itself does not violate our terms at this time and will remain live. That is the most important line in this email. That is the most important line in this email. The GoFundMe itself does not violate our terms at this time and will remain live. So let's dispel that notion right now. There is nothing violating GoFundMe's terms in this GoFundMe campaign. I know there's a lot of people very excited out there that this GoFundMe might get shut down or something like that. I think that would be an unwise move for anybody involved, and no one wants to see that. We have had a very good working relationship with GoFundMe in running the campaign on their site. We've had no complaints against the campaign itself. Still to this day, no complaints, and they've been very helpful with us. So I want to be very clear on that. It is the donor names. We asked for clarification on this right away because, you know, they said it violated rules 8 and 12. We asked for clarification. They said it's the donor names. The donor names, which violate term 8 and or term 12, or are clearly not representative of the donor's information that will be refunded. So many of you are saying that the joke names or it's some of the joke names that got refunded are very mild, like even saying Ron Toye will not win or something like that. It doesn't matter. Apparently, the names have to either be anonymous or a name representative of the donor or something like that. So you have to check that out. They asked me specifically. So you know how I am loath to do this. You know how I am loath to do this. They have asked me to no longer encourage offensive names or names that would violate Rule 8 and Rule 12. I don't know that I was encouraging them. Maybe that's the perspective of GoFundMe or someone else. But by my reading the funny names, I guess that they thought that was encouragement to encourage harassment or abuse. I don't think that was the case. I thought they were funny, so I just read them. So anyway, but they have asked me to not encourage. So I am going to specifically discourage the use of offensive names or anything that might be a violation of GoFundMe's rules. I'll bring this back on screen in a second. Let me make you. I expressly and humbly discourage any potentially offensive names or any names that may be in use or in violation of the terms of use of GoFundMe. Okay. I said I will no longer encourage it and I will actually discourage it. All right. Now, the other thing I said to GoFundMe was that due to the nature of the internet, I expressly and vehemently disclaim any liability or any knowledge or any involvement in any further names that do come up that would be in violation of the rules, because I have a feeling that after this, there might be some nasty names that come through, and that those names, which would not be from you guys, I would presume, and not be from me, certainly, that those names would be a false flag attempt on the campaign. And I suggested to GoFundMe that any attempts at trying to use those false names to, I guess, cast a pall over the GoFundMe and to suggest that any of those names would be a false flag operation from people who very much want this thing shut down, and that I expressly disclaim any of those, and I expect GoFundMe's full cooperation and their deference to give us the benefit of the doubt. Now, what it does mean is that any names, and let me read some examples of these potentially violative names, because they gave me a list. You know how I love lists. Any of these potentially violative names. The pocket change underneath Monica Rial's gunt, that's a potentially violative name. Can't do that. Lemoyne's West Nile flavored Conslut bathwater. I definitely see how that one could be offensive, and you should not send in any donations with that name. The festering groin of J. Sean Lemoyne. Groins can't donate, guys, so this one cannot. That can't be real. That's clearly, this is clearly fake. Water bottle that gets Monica wet because Soye can't. And again, I don't know how a water bottle would get a bank account or a credit card sufficient to donate to a GoFundMe. So we definitely can't do any of those names or anything like that. So I am discouraging and no longer encouraging any sort of names that would violate the rules. I do not want anything to jeopardize this campaign. And again, as I said, go to GoFundMe, I expect that there may be some people out there who try and do these names and as a false flag attempt to cast to try and get the GoFundMe campaign in trouble. And I thoroughly support and vehemently support GoFundMe's efforts to refund any of those fake names. We don't want anything to jeopardize the GoFundMe. That is never in the intention of the campaign, and we certainly don't want to be violating the rules of the GoFundMe. So, finally, donors may give again So if you did receive a refund, and there are many of you, if you did receive a refund, you can give again with your real names or anonymously if you so desire. And I would encourage you to do so, but obviously it's up to you. We understand that you cannot control this behavior and appreciate you no longer drawing attention to it. So I will not be reading any funny names from the GoFundMe from now on, because even if they are not violative of the terms of use, I don't want any risk from that. So I have to put that segment to bed, even though I thought it was very, very fun and definitely within good spirits, and certainly meant with the utmost respect to the people making the funny names. So thank you for that, but I have to do this. I have to do this, and I have to say that that I do not support or condone any names that may violate the terms of service. But again, the most important part of this is that the GoFundMe itself is not violating the terms of service. It is perfectly fine, and everything there is good. So I have done my due diligence. I will probably just drop a little reminder here and there saying to please use either your real name or anonymous, as we don't want any sort of jeopardy to the campaign. Even if you think it's a funny joke, I guess GoFundMe is not a big fan of stuff like that. So now that we are all on the same page, we can move on from that. Should we get to this affidavit? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for the Affidavit of Stan Dahlin? Let's see. Is there anything else on the GoFundMe that I need to say? For now, I don't think there is. I don't think there is anything currently on the GoFundMe that we need to say. Oh, shoot. Of course. All right. Okay, let's get to this affidavit. I know you guys want to see this, right? I teased this out earlier. Let's pull this over. All right, we're going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's get so here is Affidavit of Stan Dahlin. Let me hit a couple super chats first, because otherwise I'm going to be way behind. I already am. I already am way behind. I'll get my face up while I do these. Ring Wraither says, hello, America and not America. AK Arbiter says, won't be able to catch the stream live, unfortunately, due to being on the East Coast and having to get up between 4 and 4:30. Keep up the good work. Hey, thank you. Also wondering if you ever keep it simple with some Crown. Also sent you some DMs. I'll drink Crown from time to time. I have been known to drink a little Crown from time to time. It's not my favorite, but in a pinch it does. It does well. I like Crown Black better than Crown. John Doe, so don't call me a racist. John Doe says, the shirt off your back gets you 10% off your admission fee to the Lollipop Guild, apparently. Ty, be honest. Did Ron actually wear a wife beater to a deposition? Were any of the defendants / opposing counsel emitting foul odors? Thanks. We'll have to go back to that one when Ty is on. Ty will be on in a little bit after we do the... I don't want Ty on while we discuss the Affidavit of Stan Dahlin. So I'll go back to that one. Angela Aquino says, I donated to the GoFundMe. Whether or not it's refunded, I'm donating double the previous amount. I encourage my fellow I Stand With Vic comrades to double up if you can. Let's fight a good fight. Can't wait to see Ty. He's coming. He's just waiting on my text. Nix Hex says, Kick Vic is probably creaming their pants right now. This is literally all they have to look forward to in their miserable lives. Nick, is there a way I can send a check directly to BHBH? You probably can. You can send a question like that through their contact form, but otherwise the GoFundMe is fully secure. You just can't use any names that would violate the terms of use. Cherish Willis says, for Ty. Okay, we'll have to go back to that one. DOG Beer says, what happens after TCPA filings? Can a judge reject it outright, or does it have to be a hearing? There needs to be a hearing. Can it be resolved sooner than 90 days? Yes. Also, my $100 GoFundMe donation was refunded. They don't like the name Soy Boy Schemmel. Apparently, they are racist against people named Soy Boy Schemmel. I'm sorry that your Christian name was rejected. Diablo says, hey, Ty. Okay, and then Ty again for Ty. Well, these are for Ty. Okay. Okay, you've convinced me. Let's just do the letter and then get Ty on. How's that? All right, here we go. And I apologize that I can't do this in a different way, but due to the limited nature of my mobile setup, it's gonna be me here. All right. Affidavit of Stan Dahlin. Affidavit of Stan Dahlin. On this day, Stanley Charles Dahlin Jr., personally known to me to be the affiant herein, appeared before me, and after being sworn according to law on his oath, deposed and said as follows. 1. My name is Stanley Charles Dahlin Jr., and I reside in DeKalb County, Georgia. I am over the age of 18 years and competent to make this affidavit. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated in this affidavit, and these facts are true and correct. 2. I have read Monica Rial's response to interrogatory number 4, contained in Monica Rial's amended objections and responses to plaintiff's first interrogatories and requests for production. In cause number 141-307-474-19 in the 141st District Court of Tarrant County, Texas. The response. Excuse me. This response is attached to my affidavit as Exhibit A. 3. I was the owner of a ZumiCon in Oklahoma City in November 2007. 4. Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna were both guests at that convention. 5. I have no memory of the events described in bullet point 4 of the response. 6. If I had noticed Monica Rial being distressed leaving Victor Mignogna's room, I am certain I would remember it. 7. In subsequent years, I invited Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna back to my conventions several times. I would never have done this if I had been informed of any problems between Monica Rial and Victor Mignogna. That's it. That's it. Whoops. Whoops. Always. 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 Check your witnesses before you open your mouth. Always. Check your witnesses before you open your mouth. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem for Monica Rial. She named Stan Dahlin. Vic didn't bring up Stan Dahlin. Ty didn't bring up Stan. They didn't bring up some guy to say, oh, well, this guy, I mean, you know, he was there. He knew about it. He can help us. That didn't happen. Monica said, Stan Dahlin saw it. Monica said, Stan Dahlin saw my distress and asked if I was okay. Monica said that Stan Dahlin was the fact witness, the only person on earth other than Victor Mignogna, Monica Rial, who could know what happened. The he said, she said tiebreaker is Stan Dahlin. And Stan said, I don't recall. And I would recall, and I would have acted differently if it were true. That is gonna be a little bit of a problem. I'm just going to suggest that's going to be a problem on that TCPA. That's going to be a problem for the whole case, of course. But that is going to be a huge, huge problem for the TCPA. And we will get Ty on the phone here in just a second. Well, on the video, not phone. Video. We'll get Ty on the video to discuss the TCPA a little bit and the procedure, and then we can kind of draw some inferences and conclusions about it. But if you think this is good, And I know you do. I know you think this is good. Let me just suggest something to you right now. I've got something brewing that will make this look like a good day for Monica Rial, Ron Toye, Jamie Markey, and Funimation. I can't tell you what it is yet. I can't tell you what it is yet. I hope I can bring it to you very soon. And when I do, it will make this look like a good day. So I hope you're excited for that. Let's let me see if I can go ahead and get Ty on the phone or on the video. Okay. While we're doing that, we just got a justice chat that I just have to read. Doom Guy says, "Low T Greg BTFO. Get effed, you CPAP sucking mongoloid." That's beautiful. That is just, that warms the cockles. It warms the cockles to see to see such a beautiful justice chat. Here's the thing, right? What was T Greg Douchette is jerking himself off over a couple things today. I don't know. He teased an affidavit. I've got it, guys. I've had this forever. They've wanted me to read this forever, so I'm still not going to, but I'll just where is it? I'll just show you what he teased it on stream. He teased it on stream. Let's see. Where is it? No, not that one. Where are we? Okay. Come on, Ty. Hop on the show. I can only fill time so much. Let's see. Here we go. What is it? Let me pull this up. Hold on. I just got to check it and make sure there's nothing that I definitely can't show. I think everything on this one is good. Okay, here is, I'll just pull up the beginning. I'm not going to go through this whole affidavit here. T. Greg Doucette has teased this, right? He's teased it as a big gotcha. The gotcha. Apparently, T. Greg's gotcha. Hey, what's up? Don't say anything yet. Apparently, T. Greg's gotcha is this affidavit from Robin Michelle Blankenship McConnell. And this is the story you've seen a million times. It's the person who's been discredited and trounced over a story from something like 30 years ago, which apparently involves a school that Vic wasn't around at the time that she claims it happened. So that's a problem for it. That's T. Greg's big news for today. Now, why would T. Greg have to release something? I don't know. Why would he suddenly have access to a document? By the way, that document was signed like May 27th. something like that. Why would T. Greg suddenly have access to a document from May 27th that he hasn't talked about before, when he could have used that to definitely dunk on the case for Vic Mignogna? He could have done it, but he didn't. I think maybe they're a little bit salty about those deposition videos, but we're not going to talk about that anymore because, oh, well, I was going to welcome my guest, and then he disappeared. Let's see. So there we go. Now that discussion is done, I've invited him back on, so hopefully he'll be back in just a second. There we go. Hey, man. Where's the volume here? Hold on. Oh, I know. My headset is down. Let me make sure you're not muted. On for them. Oh, you are. Okay, here we go. Hey, now we're fixed. Okay, now you're completely muted. That's your end though. That's your fault. We're reaching boomer levels we never thought possible. There is some audio source picking you up. Are you too far away from it? Or turn up your gain? Can you get a daughter? Can you get a daughter to fix you? Hold on. This is of course perfectly executed. Flawless live stream. No, I could barely hear you. You're not coming through on my thing at all. Nope, this is great. Yeah, you're not even coming through my audio feed. Where are you? Oh, it's just noise gated. You're so quiet that my noise gate is actually taking you out. That's beautiful. This is top shelf TV, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, click on the settings at the top of the screen. Okay, what microphone do you have? Oh wait, hold on. I think this is my fault. Don't do anything.
I'm not doing anything.
It was my fault.
You're just keeping me on my toes, right?
Yeah, well, I wanted you to charge your batteries in your glasses.
Well, there you yeah. I actually found some glasses that have batteries, not these, but
sure, yeah. Real quick, guys. Have you ever had a high chew? Ty, have you ever had a high chew?
Can't say I have.
High chew? High chew?
High chew?
I think I'm going to have a high chew while you talk. So you are here for a very specific purpose. You are here to give us a state of the case.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, do I go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk.
Well, we're kind of in a very short delay in the case. As you know, Funimation has filed their anti-SLAPP motion. We have a hearing on that on August 8th. According to one of those Twitter lawyers, Real and Toy are going to file their anti-SLAPP motions tomorrow, which is their deadline. If that's going to be a bad move for them, because we have an affidavit, or actually several affidavits coming out that they probably would prefer to wait for, but since tomorrow is their deadline, they don't have a choice. They'll file that.
Wait a minute though, real quick. So before you popped on the show, I covered Stan Dahlin's affidavit.
Yeah, no, it'll be a different one. And,
there's something else coming. Oh
yeah, and as you said, it makes Dahlin's affidavit look good for them. So yeah, we're starting to firm up, our side of the anti-SLAPP case. But anyway, again, according to the Twitter lawyers, they've got something like 490 pages of exhibits that they're attaching to their anti-SLAPP motion, which is, I guess.
Well, I mean, they're talking about printing off the entire forum of Pretty Ugly Little Liars.
And we'll file a motion to strike all that.
And they're talking about printing off the IO9 article, the ANN article. Now, it'd be funny that they're not going to use the original ANN article, I'm guessing, that had the, when the damage was done, that had the fake pictures that had to later be redacted or anything like that. But it's pretty easy when you print off a bunch of 10, 12-page articles and an entire internet forum to get to 490 pages. So
I find that a curious strategy, because apparently they're not aware that the evidence that the court considers in the anti-SLAPP motion still has to be admissible. And so therefore, if it's not admissible evidence, we'll file a motion to strike, which will be heard probably right before the court hears the anti-SLAPP motion.
Right.
So anyway, there's going to be some maneuvers. We'll be answering each motion. There will be a hearing set for each motion. I'm toying with the idea of filing an anti-SLAPP motion in response to their anti-SLAPP motion, but that's the version of the law that we're under in this case, that is a permissible tactic. But I really think the court would probably be unhappy with me if I did that. But we'll work through it.
The judge in this case doesn't seem like a guy who really likes gamesmanship.
No.
He seems very straightforward on the rules and on the law, and you just follow it.
Right. Yeah, I think it very unlikely we will file a retaliatory anti-SLAPP motion, but anything's possible. A lot's going to depend on what they have in their motion. And apparently there's been a lot of back and forth about how these things work. It's real simple. I mean, conceptually, they file a motion to dismiss under the Tcpa, the Texas Citizens Participation Act. They have to prove that this case falls under the Tcpa.
Right.
We could contest that. It's unlikely that we will, because the Tcpa is awfully broad, and I don't generally like to.
For the benefit of those watching at home, basically to prove your case falls under the anti-SLAPP statute, it has to pretty much impact or involve some exercise of your freedom of speech, your freedom of association, or your freedom of something else. Maybe not religion.
Association, I think.
It's speech, association, and something else. It's related to speech, though. Basically, if the civil charge against you, like say defamation, involves speech, then you're 99% of the way to closing off the anti-SLAPP.
Until I see the motion, I can't be certain, but I think it highly unlikely we'll contest that. This version of the law, again, they amended the law in the last session, but we're not under the amended law. This version of the law, lawyers were even using anti-SLAPP motions in malpractice actions against them. I mean,
right.
Because the Supreme Court of Texas interpreted, they took the legislature at their word and interpreted them very broadly. So step one is they got to prove that, this is covered by the Tcpa. Let's assume that they do that. Then the burden of proof shifts to us. We have to prove what's called a prima facie case on every element.
I've heard from very reputable lawyers on the internet that burden shifting doesn't ever happen.
Really?
Yeah, apparently the burden never shifts.
No, okay. Huh. Well, then we're going to be very embarrassed, I guess, when we go up there prepared to handle the burden of proof.
Petition is the other one. The chat has helped us out. Petition is the third.
Petition.
Speech, petition, and association.
Yeah, to petition the government for redress, yeah. Anyway, so a prima facie case means literally we do have to have specific evidence. We can't just simply say that we think this is true. We've got to have evidence in the form of affidavits. We've got to have evidence in the form of deposition testimony, whatever, that we'll submit. Our pleadings will also be treated as evidence. And it's very common with anti-SLAPP motions for the plaintiff to replead, to file amended pleadings and bulk them up with factual allegations and stuff. Again, a lot depends on, what's in their motion. We may or may not do that. But in any event, what we've got to be able to do is we've got to show every element of each of the causes of action that we that we assert. And the burden of proof is low. Basically, what the court says is, if the evidence that we produce were true and therefore would establish that element, then we've achieved our prima facie case.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you do, for example, on defamation, you prove that the statement was made. Not hard, because we can produce the actual tweets that are authenticated in a hearing. Right. You have to prove that the statement was published to a third party, which just means that it was communicated in some way to someone other than the plaintiff. Because it's got to be about the plaintiff, not to the plaintiff. I can call you nasty names all day. What I can't do, or I shouldn't say nasty names, I can lie about you to you all day. I can't lie about you to someone else.
On the face of the defamatory tweets, for example, you can establish that quite easily.
Right, because Twitter goes out to
Twitter,
everybody.
by definition, goes out to everybody.
Yep. So then you have to prove that the statement is false.
Right.
Then you have to prove that the statement caused damage.
Right.
And
well, that's the funny thing, because this is defamation per se, damage is presumed.
Right. And then finally, you have to. It's a weird one, but you have to basically prove that the damage can be redressed by the court. Damage can be redressed by the court in defamation cases with money. That's just how they do it.
Yeah, that's not much. So, we have anticipated these anti-SLAPP motions from the get-go.
You weren't surprised by them?
No, not really. Given that was quite literally the very first thing we expected to do. I think what surprised us more than anything in this case is that they didn't file any sooner.
It seems like if your purpose is to dispel a frivolous lawsuit, you would do that before expending the massive amounts of money involved in document production and depositions.
Yeah, the obvious strategy that apparently they had was they wanted to depose Vic, then file their anti-SLAPP motion immediately, and we would be hanging out in space with a deposition that they could put out on the internet or do whatever they wanted to. I got to say, that wasn't a bad plan. I mean, it's worth a shot. I don't think, though, that I would have run it quite the way they did. And I assume that they weren't actually counting on it working, because it's equivalent to a trick play in football.
Right. If you happen to catch a non-attentive opponent, you could maybe run the ball downfield and get a touchdown.
I would have done it differently, though. They really tipped their hand by scheduling Vic's deposition 30 days from service. And the reason they did that was they wanted written discovery in the subpoena, with the subpoena ducis tecum that they attached to the deposition notice. That requires 30 days. I would have foregone the written discovery. I would have scheduled Vic's deposition as quickly after the answer deadline as humanly possible. And it's possible. We were kind of alert that they might try that, but I think they'd have had a much better chance of pulling that off if they had scheduled it a lot closer. Because the problem they had was, if you schedule it 30 days out, I can schedule their deposition 20 days out.
But did you consider that their lawyer might be gone every day for an entire month?
Well, yeah. I don't want to criticize them too much. It was a nice shot. I applaud the cleverness of the plan. And I don't think that it is developed to their best interest, though. I think we've gotten the better part of this case so far, because now we have depositions of all the parties, of the critical three parties, at least with Vic and Real and Toy. We've been able to put them out on the internet and let everyone, evaluate the credibility of the witnesses. And I'm satisfied at this stage. So anyway,
what did you just say?
I said I'm satisfied.
No, before that. You putting something out on the internet?
Oh yeah, the depositions and stuff.
Did you just blow my source?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's possible that we might have leaked it to someone. I don't know where it could have come from.
Yeah. Very rude of you. Very rude of you.
Yeah, I think too that, and again, I'm not criticizing the other side. They've got they know, presumably they know their side of the case better than I do, but just kind of, wargaming it in my mind. I think it was unwise of them to, initially oppose the confidentiality order that we suggested, and then try to flip back. That really wasn't a very credible move on their part. And I don't know that they actually understood what it was we were getting at in the first hearing. I either wanted a confidentiality order to cover Vic's deposition, or I wanted to depose them all, and then I didn't care. And, you can read the transcript where I said to the court, we don't really need a confidentiality order, Your Honor. And right. You said a very unkind thing about me, that I talk like a nerd in the courtroom.
Well, who says the words mutually assured destruction in court? Like, what kind of...
I say those words anytime I can.
Yeah, but well, I guess if I wanted the judge to think I'm a weirdo.
Yeah. I doubt the judge, thought I was a great intellectual or anything when I came out with that. But that really did cut to the chase, though. So anyway, but where we are in the case right now is we're gearing up now to fight these anti-SLAPP motions. We also have a motion to compel discovery. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to try to get that heard before the anti-SLAPP motions are done. I believe that the discovery stay doesn't matter because we're alleging discovery abuse that happened before the first anti-SLAPP motion was filed. I haven't decided yet if I need that discovery. If I don't need it, I probably won't mess with it until after we get past the anti-SLAPP stuff. But that's hanging out there. They have the special exceptions that they pled in their answers, and they pulled the hearing down yesterday for that. They can theoretically reset that hearing, but we filed an answer that I think pretty well lays out, our assessment that there's really there's no merit to the special exceptions.
What happens? So hypothetically, sure. They do the special exception hearing. My understanding is they have pretty much any time up until the case really goes to trial.
Yeah.
So what happens though? Let's say they set it out 5 weeks from now, and they go and they win on some of these special exception issues. What's the remedy the court provides?
They would ask us the court would give us 30 days to replead, to essentially correct our pleadings. So
that's it. There's no losing the case from the special exception.
No. I have rarely. In fact, I can't remember ever doing a special exceptions hearing. Normally, what you do, you call opposing counsel and say, "Look, what part of my pleadings are you not understanding?"
Right.
And they tell you, "Okay, well, how about I just file an amended motion and put this sentence in? Will that get it done?" They say yes, and you do that because it's a lot faster to amend your pleadings than to go down and have a hearing. In this case, though, I intend to go down and have a hearing every opportunity I get.
Yeah.
Having never been in the courtroom before, I find
you want to get all the experience that you can while you're finally got a job that puts you in a courtroom for once in your life.
After all these years, yeah.
How did you manage to run a law firm and be senior partner for 22 years and never, apparently having done a case, you've never done a deposition until I told you about it. Yeah, I taught you how to do them.
You taught me how to do a deposition, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. You did pretty well. I've got some notes.
I really don't know how I managed to pull that off, but any lawyer that does any kind of law eventually is going to do a deposition. Depositions are no big deal for lawyers. I mean, you're going to do them in almost every case.
Wait, so you're telling me that a lawyer who can talk for basically years without sustenance because they love the sound of their own voice will revel in an environment where they can sit and force someone to listen for 6 solid hours?
A lot of them do. Believe it or not, I really don't. Of course, everybody has different styles, and you saw in the 2 depositions we're all in toy. You saw my style versus Carrie's style, for example, and frankly, I think Carrie's a much better deposer than I am. So is Jim, for that matter. I don't really have the patience to be honest. But I usually, when we're in a case like this, I usually assign I assess who would be best deposing that particular witness, and they get the gig, and so anyway.
Okay, can you? And if you can't confirm or deny, I understand. There's a rumor out there. I don't know who started it. That during Monica Rial's deposition, there was a person in that courtroom wearing a wife beater.
Yeah.
No.
That rumor is.
Was it warm in that room?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what a wife beater is. Maybe if you could.
Like a tank top?
No, okay. Not a tank top. No. Just short sleeve shirt.
So short sleeve, like a white short sleeve.
Yeah, something like that.
Kind of tight, like an undershirt almost.
I didn't look at that person that much.
Oh, okay.
It was a curiously casual look. I really don't know if there's anything behind it or not. But
I bet there wasn't anything behind it. If I had to, that's
yeah.
I don't want to, because I don't want to ascribe motive to people. So I think there was probably nothing behind that shirt at all.
Given the events of the day before, I wouldn't at all be surprised if they expected us to come in and be extremely aggressive and abusive.
Right.
Of course, that's just not our style. I read several comments about my deposing Mr. Toy about me having patience. Rarely have I ever been accused of that, but actually, I don't beat witnesses up in depositions. I think it's really pretty cowardly to do that. You've got that guy or that woman sitting there. They have to be there. They're required to be there by law. Their lawyer can give them almost no help. To grandstand and be a jackass is, I think, cowardly. And so if I get upset at someone that I'm deposing, they've earned it. They really have tried to get under my skin, because I'm not a bully by nature.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's circle back to this TCPA. So when they file the TCPA, they have to prove that the allegations fall under the statute, and then you guys, there's some sort of slide in burden, because they don't shift apparently. So there's some sort of burden, like a passing of the burden.
Something like that, yeah.
That's what I do after Chipotle. There's a passing of the burden. So that happens, and then you guys have to make your prima facie case. And if I understand right, then the burden passes back to the other side, and what they have to do is they have to make a case up to a preponderance of the evidence standard for any affirmative defense that they raise.
Which is really pretty difficult, because the court, the court is still interpreting our evidence in our favor. So, I'm sure they're going to try, but I don't really think. I think the battle is going to be won or lost based on our prima facie case. If we can't make a prima facie case that satisfies the court, then it's over. If we do it, I think it unlikely they'll prevail on their affirmative defenses. Now, there's an X factor in these things. A great deal of this is up to the judgment of the judge.
Right.
The judge.
There's always a human element.
Yeah, and so when you hear me say we should win, that's not that I'm not confident. It's that there is no way you can state with certainty what will happen when you go to the courthouse.
What's your opinion of lawyers who guarantee outcomes?
I think that's very unwise. I think it's malpractice in and of itself, because you simply can't do that accurately.
What about lawyers who are not representing in a case, but they come out and they say, "Oh, this is definitely a win. This is definitely going to happen in this way." What do you think about that?
You must be talking about those lawyers on Twitter that you keep telling me about.
I would never talk about another lawyer in my life. I've never done so.
Right. Well, obviously, armchair quarterbacking is an American tradition.
Right.
We love to second guess sports teams. We love to second guess business, all that kind of stuff. So in and of itself, it doesn't bother me one bit. However, I wouldn't, if all you've got are just random lawyers out there who aren't involved in the case giving an opinion, well, then pick the lawyer who you think sounds smartest, I guess, and listen to them. But when you have a lawyer that has skin in the game, who is actually putting his professional reputation on the line and actually in the case, versus some Yahoo somewhere else that has no skin in the game, I don't see how any reasoned person would take the Yahoo. I mean, the commentators suffer no negative consequences whatsoever if they are wrong, if they give incompetent legal advice, if they give ill-advised legal advice. They have nothing to lose if they're wrong. So why on earth would you give them a lot of credibility? I would certainly hope that the parties on the other side are listening to the lawyers that they're paying and not to random yahoos out on Twitter.
What if they're not paying their lawyers?
Okay.
I'm just saying I've done pro bono work. That's all. I've done pro bono work.
Well, of course, as you know, Nick, when the client's not paying you, you still have the obligation to the client until you withdraw. So let me rephrase what my advice is. Listen to the lawyers that you hired. If their advice conflicts with some Yahoo on Twitter, it would be very foolish to go with the Yahoo on Twitter. My grandfather once said, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And that's what we're getting there. I don't really know a lot about what they're saying because I've mostly just listened. You've told me a few things, but if I'm on Twitter, I'm reading people I like. I'm not reading, people that I don't like. And
how bald should your lawyer be? Don't answer. That's a joke.
No, because
Well, I mean, you've got a good year left in you at least before.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, so TCPA. I have read from a very reputable source that the chances of you beating the parties on TCPA are 0.0% for Ron, 0.0% for Funimation, 0.0% for Jamie Markey, and 0.01% for Monica Rial.
Really? We have a greater chance of winning against Monica than Ron? That's interesting.
Well, that's according to, again, a very reputable, learned source. Soon to be licensed by the Texas Bar as well. So lots of credibility there on his Texas education.
Perhaps we will be at the courthouse one of these days and can compare notes.
I highly doubt it.
Probably not, yeah. Okay. Well, hi there.
Well, because you don't go to court. That's what I've learned.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So this is Minnie. She wishes to be part of this conversation, I guess.
What's up, Kat?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but to answer to address what you just said, I would respectfully disagree. I think that if you rank the order, I think Funimation has the best chance of defeating us. I don't think it's a particularly good chance, but with Funimation, we have to rely more on implied evidence than 300 tweets.
Right.
Okay, Kat, you've got to get down now.
Although I think, I think tomorrow. Well, I don't know if it's tomorrow. I think soon that calculus might change.
Yes, I suspect it probably will. As I said, we're in the stage now where we have more or less stopped collecting evidence, and now we're coding. Stop that, Cat. Good
the
grief.
Cat just beating on your microphone?
Yeah, the cat ignores me all day long. I have not had any interactions with her whatsoever, and now all of a sudden she wants to. Anyway, yeah.
You're sitting.
Let's see what we're saying.
I was.
Oh yeah, the calculus.
Right.
Yeah, we're at the stage now where we're starting to marshal and assemble our evidence, and you really. I know it sounds kind of odd, but you really don't know how solid your evidence is until you get to that point where you're getting ready for the hearings.
Right.
You have a good sense of it. And I got to say that I think, if anything, the evidence that we're putting together is stronger than I thought it was. But again, I can't guarantee an outcome. The one thing we've accomplished, I don't expect to lose these hearings, but let's say we do. Let's say that the judge just doesn't see it our way. Well, we've put the evidence out there. Vic's accusers' depositions are out there. We'll have affidavits from various parties telling what went on, and people will be able to weigh the credibility and weigh the evidence. And at the very least, I will not have to stand tall before Vic's mom and say, I failed. I stood by and let them destroy your son, because they have failed. They haven't destroyed him, and they're not going to.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening, because anybody can go watch those depositions. They will be up on my channel forever.
Yeah. And going forward, the first show I was on with you, Nick, I'm pretty sure I flat said that we would fight this war in the public sphere. Certainly all party witnesses, their depositions are going to be released to the public just like everybody else's. They can try to get a gag order if they want to. I really don't think this court is going to grant it. The problem anybody is going to have with a gag order is they attacked Vic in public.
Right. This wasn't defamation done in letters, private correspondence
to a discrete group of people or something like that. No, this was done out there in public, and that's going to be my exact argument. I'm going to argue to the court that, look, they publicly defamed him, therefore we should be allowed to rebut that defamation with their own testimony. And I'm very confident that they're not going to, that the court is going to see it our way on that point. Now, when you start talking about depositions of witnesses and not parties, the court might be a little bit more solicitous, but maybe not. Call your attention to the second hearing where the judge slapped them down hard on those affidavits, and he just flat said, nope, if they're witnesses, they're witnesses.
Right.
So I don't know. I probably personally wouldn't be as enthusiastic about releasing just third-party witnesses that got dragged into this. But on the other hand, I want that option.
So on that note, there was a third-party witness that one of the attorneys in the case decided to file publicly what they presumed to be the address of said third-party witness was. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a sleazy tactic.
Well, why would you do it?
Well, you do it to punish. You do it to punish that witness.
I mean, why would you do it? I was joking. I was joking. I was implying that you did it. It wasn't you.
Sorry. No, accidents do happen. The mistakes do happen. But what is the point, I guess, would be my question. And my understanding is the address is, they didn't do a very good job of disclosing the address.
My understanding is said third-party witness has still not received a single document from them, despite them suggesting that they have mailed things, probably because they used the wrong address.
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
And I left something out. I know we're kind of bouncing around. That's another thing that's hanging out there is they've got that motion to take your deposition.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, to presumably, well, they're going to, taking the motion at face value, they're wanting to depose you. They're wanting the court to basically let them do it in spite of the stay. Though I could not for the life of me figure out in the motion how your testimony relates in any way to the anti-SLAPP motion. And it's got to for the court to agree to that. So, we obviously will oppose that.
Now, did I ask you to oppose that? No. That's part of your legal strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste time going up to Minnesota because I know you're going to make them go to Minnesota. I know you well enough that I'll at least, I'll infer that. No, they had 70 days to conduct discovery and they didn't. So,
have you ever drank whiskey during a deposition?
I've often thought that a bar would be a good addition to a lot of depositions I've been in, but no. I've wanted to drink whiskey at a lot of them.
Well, I'm just suggesting that if there is a Minnesota deposition, I've looked over the rules, and I personally don't see anything prohibiting the drinking of whiskey during a deposition.
I'm not sure you're required to show up sober.
I think you just can't be too intoxicated to answer truthfully, or to have memory issues.
I think a lot of deponents, and I've been deposed. I mean, I've been on both sides of this. I think a lot of deponents would love to have a drink or two. It might calm them down.
I found this stuff, which can pass for water.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, like they said in the Sting, always drink gin with a mark, kid. That way they can't tell you if you cut it with water.
Okay, so that aside, TCPA, the rule on the TCPA is once it's filed, the court must, and that is imperative, and it's non-negotiable. If the court fails to rule within 90 days, it's.
I don't think this judge is gonna take much time. He, my impression of him. This is the first time I've ever been in a case in his court, but I got to say that he runs his courtroom like a clockwork. I mean, very well organized courtroom. I don't think we'll have to wait for him. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. He seems to be on top of his docket, and he seems to be, very, very sharp.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is there's a 90-day maximum. Is there a minimum?
No.
Okay. No. So theoretically, and Funimation has filed their TCPA a little while back, and they set their date for August 7th or 9th 8th. Or something. 8th?
Okay, August 8th, I think.
Okay.
They set it out with a fair amount of time, which of course gives them time to prepare, gives us time to prepare. I thought it was a classy move. I mean,
right. I mean,
but in theory, I mean, they could try to set a hearing as early the very next week.
Sure.
And we'll be ready to go if they do that. I mean, we haven't been just kind of sitting around, just going, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? We've been doing our work too.
Right. So Funimation, not Funimation, Ron and Monica, presumably, according to someone on Twitter with apparent reason to know, filed their TCPA after hours tonight, I think you alluded to that, or that the effective filing date will be tomorrow.
Yeah, right before I got on your show, I looked and they hadn't cleared the filing system. If they had filed it, I can look real quick again and see. I'll do it right now as we're talking. No. So if it's going to come, it'll come tomorrow.
Right. So how fast could they set a hearing?
The Texas rules only require a 3-day notice.
That's
this
brutal.
Court, but this court pretty much doesn't seem to like to do that. They want the lawyers to agree when the hearing is going to be. But I mean, if they tried that, I guess we'd probably be ready for it. I'm not scared of it. I mean, but the reality is we've all got all of us are busy,
right?
So we may have other things scheduled next week. I know I do, depending on when they drop it. So in all likelihood, I would think we'd certainly be ready to go 2 weeks out, maybe. We again, I want to see what's in their motion. I mean, I'm theorizing based on what I expect. When we actually see what's in their motion, it's possible, but not likely that we'll try to reopen discovery on some point or another. That's. But yeah, I mean, it'll go fast regardless. Fast for the legal system anyway.
Right, which is glacier speed. But.
Yeah, and if they prevail, the court will award them legal fees that are reasonable, related to the anti-SLAPP motion. Not all the legal fees they've incurred, just what they can show are directly related to the anti-SLAPP motion. And we will get the opportunity to argue, if we win, that their anti-SLAPP motion was frivolous, at which point the court would award our legal fees. So it kind of cuts both ways.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. Can you guys win legal fees on the anti-SLAPP if the court finds it to be ridiculous?
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I mean, again, I'm just armchair quarterbacking the other side.
Sure.
If it were me, I'd be real reticent to file it on someone that's got hundreds of defamatory tweets out there.
Right. What about someone whose main and most damaging allegation was completely undermined by the only fact witness that they raised in their interrogatories?
I don't think it's possible to overstate how serious a problem that is for that person. Because
now, can you clarify this? Because there's some very smart people on Twitter who have said that Monica Rial's statement about the hotel room incident and involving Stan Dahlin is not "quote unquote" before the court.
Okay, well, you sign responses to interrogatories under penalty of perjury. It's not before the court because no one's filed it with the court yet. We only file it with the court if it's necessary, but it will feature prominently in our answer if they file an anti-SLAPP motion.
I would imagine so, because Miss Rial will
there's
raise.
There's no merit in that argument.
Right. So so the affidavit of Stan Dahlin will be a problem, a hurdle, a bump in the road for them.
I mean, look, you've gone through it. You know what I mean? She was crystal clear in her interrogatories where she said that he came to the door. He noticed that she was upset, blah, blah, blah. And she did try to move away from that in the deposition. But, I mean, here's the thing. That there's an investigation at Funimation in January. And she doesn't mention that event, instead mentioning a 15-year-old jelly bean incident.
Right.
Then, after we release the jelly bean story, and people rightly so are somewhat skeptical that is equivalent to rape, then all of a sudden we start hearing about this. If it's flatly contradicted by the only fact witness she produced, and I believe that's a fair reading of that affidavit, now we're back to jelly beans and hair pullings that nobody's seen. And of course, if all witnesses have this big problem. If they get caught in a lie, well, if they'll lie about one thing, they'll lie about the other. I mean, that's what the other side's always going to say.
Now,
I'd say it's a huge problem.
Curveball for you.
Sure.
What if she did tell the story to Tammy Denbo at Funimation?
Well, I guess that's possible. It's hard to imagine, though, that they wouldn't have said anything to Vic about it.
Right. So then there's another problem there that's created for Funimation in that instance. If I'm reading that correctly, that what kind of an investigation? I can call it an investigation if you didn't mention it to the accused. Right.
But of course, it's our. I mean, look, we can play games all we want to. It's our position that was a kangaroo court. That was a setup. I mean,
I mean that.
If we're going to be arguing that at the courthouse, nobody will fall out of their chair with surprise. But I don't believe she did. The other thing is we have the email that we produced from Vic where he follows up with Tammy Denbo and covers each of the allegations and says, I just want to be sure that you understand blah, 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 and he doesn't mention it either.
Right.
And it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome that affidavit. Very difficult. And unfortunately for them, that's not the only affidavit we got. So I mean, and Nick, this right here is how the system is supposed to work, right?
Right.
We're supposed to be allowed to put our evidence out there to defend his reputation, and that's what we're doing. To anybody out there, watch the depositions, decide who acts more credible, who seems more credible. Note who is, note whose evidence appears to be contradicted by witnesses they actually brought forward. I mean, it's a pretty tough thing to overcome. So, and this case is going to go this way. I mean, I don't. No one should think that we're bluffing, because, my God, we put our own client's deposition out there completely unedited.
Right. Right.
I mean,
now I've got two more questions, and then
sure.
What I want to do is, there's a lot of questions for you from Super Chats, and I want to make sure.
I'll try not to babble on, because I know you got to get through these things.
We do. But the couple questions I have for you is that, one, there is a rumor that there are up to 10 now affidavits on the other side. Now, the source of that rumor is the dumbest person I have seen, has been consistently wrong about everything. But assuming that they got that right, how are you going to deal? Can you even deal with 10 affidavits? Have you ever heard of that many affidavits? Yeah.
Well, first of all, what do they have to do with this case?
I don't know, because I've seen 5 affidavits, and all of them are really stupid and pointless.
Yeah, we weren't quivering in our tennis shoes over those affidavits either. Look, you can get any number of. Now, the funny thing is, if we really were mean-spirited, we could, drag those people into court, or go depose, or go to their state or wherever the hell they are, and because, I mean, you submit an affidavit to a court, you're doing it under penalty of perjury. And, we probably won't, because, limited resources and time and all that. But at the end of the day, something that the other side doesn't seem to understand, it doesn't matter how many other people you can say claimed that Vic did something to him, because we're not suing those people. We're suing you. And
that's an interesting thing that seems to be lost here, is that what I noticed in the deposition is that both defendants disclaimed any knowledge of the major articles that might have supported their position. For example, the Tao of Dragon Ball article is the one that mentions 100+ victims over the course of the years, which is a claim that's recited by them. But both of them said that they did not recall reading that article. And their counsel has raised it in at least the motion to depose, presumably, or I believe in their answer document maybe, and they will presumably raise that in their TCPA filing. However, both parties, both Monica and Ron, expressly said, "I don't recall reading this article."
Yeah, and of course, when we file a motion to strike, we're going to be talking about that. Gosh. There were supposed to be hundreds of women who were going to come forward,
or even 30.
Yeah, and all we've got are a bunch of screen names on pretty ugly little liars that, interestingly enough, in depositions, parties couldn't identify.
Are you sure, though? Because they had solid links.
Yeah,
those links were very, very solid. I don't know. Solid. They were not ethereal links; they were solid links.
Yeah. Well, again, this highlights the difference between Twitter court and real grown-up big people court. That evidence is not admissible, almost certainly. It's hearsay. It's unauthenticated. There's no foundation. I mean,
Now, that's one thing I've noticed, that, and this is my criticism of Twitter law, is that Twitter law appears to be approaching this case as though it were a final exam question in a law course. There's where you are presented with a hypothetical, you're given a set of facts. It's usually an incomplete set of facts. There's nothing that changes from the beginning of the question to the end of the question, and the outcome will remain unknown. Now, in this case, of course, the outcome will definitely be known. Yeah. But they're not treating it as such. They're treating it as this static paragraph that they've received, and they're supposed to expound on what they believe will occur. Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good observation. Although, to be honest, they probably would get D- or Fs based on their answer to the exam. Well, because the striking thing is and again, I'm going off of some of the stuff you showed me and told me about, because as I said, I simply don't care what they say on Twitter. um, you know, they appear to be just simply making bald assertions. You're going to
Very
lose.
bald. The
You
bald.
say, yeah, sorry, I didn't intend that pun, but we'll go with it. They're making bald, they're making conclusory statements. You're going to lose, and I believe you keep saying why, and basically when you hack through their dissembling, it's because I said so. You face them with case law, statutes, and facts, and if they can't say anything else, my favorite was the one that said, "Well, I haven't actually read the facts." Okay, well then, why are you shooting your mouth off?
Well, to be fair, the guy who hadn't read the facts, he's very busy. He is going to be the next owner of Kiwi Farms. So he's kind of indisposed right now. All right. So, okay, moving on from that topic. Final question before we get to the super chats is, let's say, so TCPA happens. Markey's TCPA deadline has got to be coming up as well.
Yeah, I don't recall when that is, but yeah, it'll be coming up.
So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 TCPAs. This is weird to me. Monica and Ron are not one defendant.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is being done as if they were.
Yeah, it's an interesting procedural question. If parties can join a TCPA together, we'll look into it. If they file a joint motion, we'll probably challenge it on that basis. And I off the top of my head, I really don't know.
Yeah, well, it's less that and more, in my opinion, Monica and Ron, they have. This is the risk of having one lawyer for two parties that are not actually protected by privilege, is that the lawyer's advice for one may be detrimental to the other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the classic conflict of interest problem, isn't it?
Right. And they've apparently waived that conflict, we can assume. But
yeah, but the thing is, you can waive a conflict, but the lawyer still can't allow the conflict of interest to work to the detriment of the client.
Yeah, that seems like a problem for me.
Yeah,
especially in this case.
There's an implicit when you get a client to waive conflicts, and I've done this. I mean, I've represented multiple people before, but it's always tricky, because even though they've waived the conflict of interest, if I inadvertently favor one over the other, I'm in trouble.
Now, in Minnesota criminal court, there's a Rule 17 hearing that the state can call for when one defense lawyer is representing two criminal defendants in the same action. And then when that happens, the prosecutor is allowed to basically cross-examine both of the defendants independently and make sure that they are comfortable and aware of all of the conflicts. Is there anything like that in the Texas Civil Rules of Procedure?
No, the conflict of interest, generally speaking, is it's the client's opportunity to raise that. You can complain about it on the other side, but I can't remember ever getting anybody actually. What will happen typically is you'll try to conflict somebody out, and rather than run the risk, a lot of times lawyers will just bail. I've been threatened before with being conflicted out, and I said, knock yourself out, and they didn't do anything. Sure. So as long as the client is comfortable with conflict of interest, the other side doesn't really have much to say. They don't have any standing. It's not their,
right.
It's a case, but it is an unstable situation, to say the least, in a case like this.
Okay, so assuming you get past at least one TCPA, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe you get past one of them.
It's possible. There's
a slim chance that happens.
Definitely a tiny chance that we might pull it off.
At least 0.01%, according to the preeminent Twitter scholar. So if that happens, the next step, I assume, will be summary judgment motions.
No, probably not. Let's do this hypothetical. Let's say in this crazy, crazy old world that we actually defeat all these anti-SLAPP motions. Let's just say that.
I mean, I guess if you want to pretend that this world
I can
exists.
already tell you that I've got the prima facie evidence I need to go after Iago.
Ooh.
So we'll be adding him to him, and of course he'll file his stupid anti-SLAPP motion. We'll have to deal with that too. But you may remember I said we had the first group, and then we've got a second group of targets. We'll probably be adding selected members of that second group of targets. But Iago, I've definitely got. I've got the prima facie evidence I need to overcome an anti-SLAPP motion, and so that's likely to be the first thing we'll do is invite him to the party. We'll of course begin serious deposition of Funimation. Of course, we got to depose Jamie. We'll probably we won't be filing motions for summary judgment until we get at least that groundwork done, because we've got conspiracy claims, right?
Right.
And it's just I would prefer to file a summary judgment motion on everything rather than have multiple individual summary judgment motions on various causes of action. That's sloppy, and the courts don't like it, and I don't blame them.
Sure.
So no, I mean our game plan will be we would restart discovery, and we would go forward and be deposing everyone. And like I said, I intend to make the fruits of this discovery available to the public.
Now, with an entity like Funimation, for example, my understanding is they nominate someone to speak on behalf of the entity. However, you can also depose specific people who would have specific fact knowledge.
And we can depose specific people who might be witnesses or who might be part of the conspiracy, and so forth and so on.
Right.
And we'll do all this. But we'll likely depose a Funimation corporate representative.
That would be Evan Stone, if I understand correctly.
Maybe we send a list of all the things that they need to be competent to talk about.
Sure.
And it does happen every now and then. They'll send a corporate representative that gets cute and says, "I don't know." And we just go have a hearing on that, and they wind up paying my legal fees.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I can promise you that if we defeat Funimation's anti-SLAPP motion, we will be directly deposing a number of their management. Definitely.
I didn't know that they had any employees or management at all. I mean, from what I can tell, nobody works there.
Yeah, probably what we'll do is depose the corporate representative first and say, "Would you please give me an organization chart?" No, I mean, I've had to do that before. I mean, that's it's not as crazy as all that. Privately held companies, and although Sony is a public company, Funimation is not. Privately held companies don't report their organization chart to anybody.
Right.
Beard and Harris Bull Hughes, we don't report our organizational chart to anybody.
Right. That's why people don't know that I'm the CEO.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I really thought of you more as the puppet master than the CEO.
Did you know that I've developed your entire legal strategy?
Yeah.
I'm billing you for that.
Yeah. I mean, you taught me how to do depositions.
Yeah, I mean, I've done all of the work.
I do have to say one thing. There's some guy on Twitter that keeps asking if I've ever done a deposition before, and if so, what case?
Oh, that guy's mentally handicapped, so be nice to him.
Well, the answer is yes, and I can't tell you. We have this thing called attorney-client privilege. We're not allowed to go around talking about other cases to the extent that they can be identified unless we have the client's permission.
Right.
I mean, you heard the Amazons talk about a fist fight in our conference room one time, so that was a deposition.
To be fair, I conjured up that story and told them to tell it just to give you some credibility.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so one more question. Let's say that a certain party might motion to strike. Let me rephrase. Motion to
Objection
strike.
form.
Yeah, objection to form. Oh, you need to do it the proper way. Objection to form.
Objection form.
Can a person be an agent or representative of two different entities in the same lawsuit?
Of course.
Okay, I'm going to clear that up out there because
absolutely. Well, it's funny enough. Right now, Casey Eric is an agent of two different parties. Your attorneys in Texas in civil suits, we're agents of our clients.
right.
Casey is both an agent of Monica Real and an agent of Ron Toy. Of course. I mean, somebody saying you can't.
No one was saying that. I just wanted that out there in case one person thought that they were somebody out there, a hypothetical person, thought that maybe because they were a representative of a particular
right.
entity that they might not be able to simultaneously be the representative of a different entity.
Yeah, and you get into some interesting issues about a de facto agent. But you see, we'll get to get into all that. I mean, obviously, we have to really, we've got that. We do have that microscopic chance of defeating these anti-SLAPP motions, so we've got to get past those.
Right.
But if we do get past them,
but as like a hypothetical, for example,
sure.
Miss Denbo, in theory, could be both a Sony employee and also acting as an agent for Funimation.
Oh yeah, no question. She was acting on Funimation's behalf.
Right. I mean, they asked her to please act on our behalf.
Yeah, I mean, that I really would be. Well, I was going to say I'd be surprised if they would dispute that, but I won't. I'll say this: I have a lot of respect for Funimation's counsel. He seems like a very good lawyer. I can't, of course, he's got a job to do, so I'm not going to criticize that. That's going to be a tough argument for somebody to prevail on.
A lot of people said that he sounded like either Kermit the Frog or Squidward from SpongeBob. It was somewhere in the middle of those two, I think.
I've had nothing but professional, good interactions with him.
I thought he did great at his questioning. I thought Vic did better in his answers, but I thought that his questions were well done. They weren't mean-spirited. They were fact-oriented. They were driving clearly at what he was going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I as I said, I've gotten along fine with both Jamie's attorney and Funimation's counsel.
Yeah, I'm not asking you, and me saying that that people are saying he sounds like Kermit or Squidward. These are both loved characters, and that's not meant to be a slight in any way.
Okay, well, that's like I said, we'll it's been my experience that if I get a good feeling about opposing counsel and we get along at the beginning, that usually holds true throughout the litigation. And personally, I prefer to get along with my opponent. When lawyers get crossways, that interferes with the case.
Right.
Our animosity can theoretically prevent a case from resolving. But
Kermit and Jordan Peterson. Let me tell you about the lobster. No, I'm just kidding. Cherish Willis. Okay, so these are the questions from the chat.
Okay.
It says for Ty, what did Carrie say after Monica deposition after seeing someone lying about being a victim when she is one? Did she want to throw up? You don't have to answer this. Punch her in the face, etc. It was elegant and brutal, what I'd expect from a real woman.
I thought Carrie's deposition was surgical in its precision. And of course, everything she does is like that. She's extremely precise, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, her deposition was very efficient. Very efficient, mm-hmm. I thought.
Well, bless her heart, she has to ride a herd over me and Jim. And, we're both just, we're all over the place. And she's like, okay, let's, almost like a den mother sometimes.
Right.
It seems.
Let's see. DOG Beerus says, what happens after TCPA filings? We kind of talked about that, but he's got specific follow-ups. Can a judge reject it outright, or does there have to be a hearing? My understanding is there needs to be a hearing if there's a response.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a hearing. He's not going to, I mean, I think I've never heard of a TCPA not having a hearing. So I'm going to go with, there's going to be a
Maybe
hearing.
if you fled to Mexico or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Can it be resolved sooner than 90 days? We answered that is yes. Depends on the court's docket. But I do need to be clear. Outside of good cause, there is no like, well, the court's docket made it 93 days.
I think the Supreme Court did finally say that good cause, but it had to be really good cause. It's an academic argument. I think this court is very well run. I don't think we're going to have a problem with that. I think he's going to rule very quickly.
Sure.
One way or the other. And of course, I guess I should say this. One thing I left out of all this sequencing, of course, is either party can appeal.
Right. Now, how long does that's an interlocutory appeal, right?
Yeah. An interlocutory appeal, the last one we did, stalled the case out for 9 months. Now, that was the Tyler Court of Appeals.
And that gets,
Fort Worth
that
Court
adds
of Appeals.
Significant cost to the case, too.
Sure. It's so, I mean, if the goal of the exercise is to drag this out, this thing could get dragged out for years. But we intend to go all the way to the courthouse if we have to, certainly.
Right.
But the reality is, we're achieving our objective just by having this fight. We're achieving our objectives by simply pushing back and saying, look, here's the evidence. Here it is. This is what happened. So if they want to drag it out, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting that Funimation, for example, has basically stated in their affidavit that they allege that they did not fire Vic for any sort of sexual impropriety or misconduct of any kind. As a result, the investigation, they've almost expressly stated that the firing was separated from the results of the investigation entirely. That's kind of the defense they're going for.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can convince the judge of that. I think the problem they would have arguing that is, again,
well, it's what a reasonable person reading their tweets interprets.
Right. That's the problem. The tweets didn't say inappropriate or a violation of our policies. And oh, by the way, we'll be producing some evidence that, in fact, it's a highly sexually charged environment out of Funimation.
Are you telling me that a studio that produces something called ecchi anime, which involves significant amounts of sexual activity, might be a sexualized environment? Are you suggesting that?
Yeah, we'll have witnesses that will testify to that.
How could you find one?
Yeah, gee, I don't know. You bring up an interesting point, Nick, and this is the part of this that strikes me as very, very dangerous for the anime hobby. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of anime out there, a lot of stuff that Funimation does that your average Fort Worth soccer mom is not going to be very impressed to see. I mean, we will almost certainly show Panty and Stocking, for example. We'll show that at the trial.
Panty and Stocking sounds like a wholesome show.
Yeah. Well, because it's relevant, right? We would show it to demonstrate that the incredible sensitivity of the defendants doesn't pass scrutiny, right?
Well, you could only do that, though, if I'm correct, if like two of the main characters were defendants in the case or something. And what are the odds of that happening?
Right, yeah. And but I mean, really, I'm just, if I wouldn't want to explain that to non-anime fans, right? Because they're not going to understand what is it. These are like ancient beings that just take on the form of nubile 14-year-old girls that have to strip to get their superpowers.
I mean, that's what I did at 14. That's how I became a lawyer so early in my life.
I mean, that to me, that's the thing about this case that really is bizarre. And is, okay, every hobby, every discrete insular hobby is not really something that non-hobbyists are gonna understand a whole lot. I mean, there's all kinds of gaming stuff that I wouldn't want to have to explain,
Right.
to non-gamers.
Why is there a card in your war game called "Pillaging the Village and Raping the Women"? Just kidding. That's a joke.
Well, the bloodthirster of corn.
Come on. No, as long as we don't have to explain Slanesh, we're fine.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, tell me why you've got a miniature demon that's this big. It's like,
But it's a sex demon, though. That's what you're not understanding. It's a sex demon,
Well, I mean,
and it's
that's it. I
androgynous.
mean-
It's both sexes at the same time.
Yeah. Look. I'm gonna do what I got to do to win the case. That's within the bounds of legal ethics, and I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not. I'm just saying that, this is the kind of dispute that if it were to get out of hand and if it were to become highly publicized, like so many of these imbeciles out there seem to be intent on doing, I don't think anime fans want this in the mainstream media.
Well, it seems this is weird, and after
I'm not an anime fan, so I don't know, but I'm just thinking.
we should move on in just a second. But what seems weird to me is that some of the defendants seem to despise not only their product but their consumers, and they seem like they are fully intent on slagging the people who pay their salaries. That they are fully intent on suggesting that what they do, I mean, by the nature of their allegations, that what they do and what they produce that people buy is somehow making their customers into subhuman or unacceptable people, and that's very weird to me. That seems to be a theme in many hobbies, and I don't understand.
Yeah, it is, there's been some of that in gaming, and I despise it. There's always a group of fans in any hobby that like to think they're not really nerds like those others. We're not nerds like they are.
Right.
And I've never had much patience for that in gaming. I think if I were an anime fan, I would despise it there. But anime is a little different because you've actually got the actors making money off these fans.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I don't remember too many wargame companies that actively despised wargamers. They might make a few cracks about them, but not to that degree.
No, and I've seen many of these voice actors, and again, the support that they pulled in, the moral support from various lawyers on Twitter, openly hate the anime community itself, and the anime fans, calling people who, just because they like anime, calling them incels, suggesting that they live in their parents' basement, completely baseless, out of touch accusations. I've been to a couple conventions now, and at both of those conventions, I can say that I saw many people in their mid-20s to mid-30s who have very stable incomes, and they'd have to support the community in the way that they do.
Well, I mean, that, stuff isn't cheap.
Right. Not at all. Especially hentai. Very expensive.
It's art. I saw that. Have you seen that clip from The Office?
Yeah.
Where Stanley, it's called hentai, and it's art. Well, I think the striking thing about Anime Matsuri and Kamehacon both, that I wouldn't say it surprised me, it just got my attention, is how diverse the anime community is. I'm talking gender, race, age, every demographic slice you want to go. I mean, it's really it's just a very, very diverse hobby,
right?
And a lot more so than gaming. A lot more so.
Okay, next is Diablo says, "Hey Ty, if you can answer today, why was the hearing canceled for today? I was planning to go watch you kick butt in person. Now I'm just sad."
Well, I was disappointed because I actually do like to go to the courthouse. I was disappointed, but I have no idea. I could hypothesize that they might have been busy getting their anti-SLAPP motion together. Never did quite understand why they set it for the day before their deadline anyway. But they can reset it next week if they want to. So.
Sure. Ryan Mercado says, Ty using memes on Twitter, our boy has matured. Dropping Godfather memes on me. That was rude. Also,
well, that's my favorite movie, Nick. I mean, what are you going to do?
Also, remember Ron and Monica. Perjury charges await you. If it turns out that you guys lied under oath, I'll donate to the GoFundMe when I have a chance. Hey, thanks, buddy. No one important says, for Ty, for celebrating Amazon Prime Day, for laughing off at how ridiculous some things can be said or thought of, and of course, the anger for dealing with soy-based, unrecalling sheepdogs. A drink to you, kind sir. So there you go. There's nothing really to answer there. Rick Nikita says, all hail the twin Primarchs. I think he means us.
Cool.
Pie Baker says, if this lawsuit endures to trial, can the argument be made to the judge that it should be video recorded in order to efficiently and accurately inform the fans as of large scale as possible to help repair Vic's reputation? I don't think judges tend to like video recorders in their courtroom.
And my understanding is Tarrant County judges don't particularly care for that. But, there's so much variation from judge to judge. I wouldn't care.
If you find out that they will allow recording in that courtroom, you better tell me.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll file a motion with the court.
Because I will live stream the court proceedings.
Yeah. I'll file a motion now. He'll probably smack us down, but you don't ask, you don't get. But
you don't need a motion, just some correspondence, right? Just a correspondence letter to the judge. Judge, by the way, would you be amenable to this? And if you would, I can file a motion to.
Actually, a motion is how you do it.
Oh, okay.
Remember, you file the motion that the other side has the opportunity to answer, and the judge can grant or deny it.
Well, I mean, the other side filed a notice of intent to file a motion to notice. So I figured you could file. You could just.
What is a notice of intent to file a notice of intent?
It was a notice of intent to motion to file a notice. That's what it was. For permission to file a notice. So I just figured you could send correspondence to the judge and said, Judge, if you're amenable to it, I will file a motion.
But if you're serious about doing it, you'd file a motion, ask for a hearing, and go down there, and we'd argue the traditional First Amendment stuff. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. But
you better find out in enough time for me to get to a Tarrant County courthouse, because I will stream it live on location, and of course I would respect the court's rules of decorum and would not interrupt the court in any way.
Yeah, I will give it a shot.
We'll see. Let's see. Mr. Armageddon says, it's okay. Just look at the GoFundMe situation as selecting hard mode. Reaching 300K was going way too easy. Who plays on easy? Not me. Let's redonate with normal names, etc. I informed them before you showed up on the stream, of course, that GoFundMe had reached out and suggested that some names were in violation of the rules, but that the GoFundMe itself was not.
You didn't expose my response to GoFundMe,
No,
did you?
I did not.
Good.
So.
Might have been a little...
you happen to... You operate like Composition B. And I operate as the fuse lengthener for Composition B.
I seem to surround myself with fuse lengtheners.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
But no, I GoFundMe was their initial, to be clear to the audience, their initial communication was unclear as to whether the GoFundMe itself was violating the rules versus
it really did say that, and
versus the names, but they did clarify.
I aggressively questioned that conclusion.
And I'm glad you did. You did. We want to make sure, because clarity is always, that's the key in all of this stuff.
Well, they don't need to be in the middle of this. They just need to run their business and let us do our thing. And
right. And vagaries don't help anybody.
If they want minimum standards of decorum and stuff on the names and stuff, I can understand that. I thought they were hilarious myself, but that's fine.
Do you think the judge would let me read super chats in the middle of a I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Intimidator 0108.
Burn you to a cinder just by his glare.
Judge, I'm going to need a recess. Who are you? Listen, I've got some super jets to burn through right
flash, now. And then a whiff of ozone, and then the smell of burnt hair, and there would be a small pile of smoking ashes and shoes. There'd just be shoes left. And I go, well,
and Chuck, this one's for you, Chup. Do you like LollyCon? And if so, who is your favorite lolly? Intimidator 0108 says, "Hey Nick, this is going to seem as a bit of an odd question, but what's your dream car and truck?" Oh, buddy. The reason I'm asking, I'm going to try and do something this weekend when I play Forza Horizon 4. That said, drink whiskey and let it rip. For me, my dream car, I don't know why, but it's a Lamborghini Murcielago. It is. What's yours, Ty?
Oh, man, it's been such a long time since I've been into sports cars.
Doesn't have to be a sports car.
Well, yeah, it does.
It could just be like a Ford Ranger from 1987 or whatever.
It's a truck. Yeah, I just like I like the fastest Corvette that could ever be made by the hand of man.
Hennessy, that guy. Have you seen that guy Hennessy down in Houston?
Heard of him. I haven't seen the stuff.
He gets a stock Corvette, and it costs like 120 grand or whatever, but he'll get it down to 1.9 seconds 0 to 60.
Good grief.
Yeah. They refit everything too. They redo the engine, they redo the brakes, they redo the airflow. You basically have the body of the Corvette and a whole new car, running the show. I go to an art event. It's an art purchasing event from a very famous artist. I'm not going to disclose it because people will probably go after him or whatever. Every year. And his son's custom Lamborghini Murcielago was sitting in his driveway when I went there. And it was just sitting there. And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my son's. He's left it here for like 8 months." I'm like, "Oh my God." His car costs as much as my house.
Talk about your first world problems.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
My son won't get his Lamborghini out of my garage.
No, it was just sitting in the driveway. Now, to be fair, he collects Alfa Romeos.
Okay.
Just because. Or was it Rolls Royces? I don't remember. From all different years. They're fantastic. But I did take a picture with the Lambo.
Cars take up a lot of space, though. Car collections are...
He has enough.
It has plenty of space, yeah.
The man has an original oil painting of, whatchamacallit, Picasso, an original oil Picasso that is, that's probably 3 feet by 4 feet.
Dang. He's
got the space. He's doing fine. Stephen Frost says, "Heard Kick Vic may go after backers, so I backed it again. Bring it." What are the backers to the campaign? Yeah, that'll be great. That'll do fantastic. Are they listening to Law Twitter on that advice? Good job. I kind of
think that's probably a hollow threat.
Yeah. I don't know if they know how to do anything other than a hollow threat.
Yeah.
Infinity says, "Nick, I'm a longtime fan, but recently I'm having an issue with you recently. I love you, but every time you do the Führer's voice, I want to choke you. My ears can only handle so much abuse. I will not be harassed." Smiley emoji. Was it difficult to listen to this? Don't answer that. Don't you dare answer that. Devil Hunter Nero says, "Check your Twitter DMs from me for that question I asked you about from the last stream. Plus, hi, Ty. How's everything going?"
Fine.
And continue boomering the show, Nick. That's my... okay. Ace 1589200 says, "Ty, you should look up the documentary I Know That Voice. It discusses mainly the plague of voice actors not being recognized as real actors because all they've got is a voice, not a public figure."
Huh.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
Legal advice from the chat.
Cool.
Charlie Spurs says, "My bike was stolen and I'm furious."
So, what's it called again?
I Know That Voice. The documentary, I Know That Voice. Charlie Spurs says, "My bike was stolen and I'm furious. I'm very angry. I cannot relay how livid I am. I want whoever stole it to burn. I'm about to lose it. I need help to stop myself from flipping out, please." Hey, buddy, don't flip out over stolen bikes.
Right.
I don't know why you shouldn't flip out over stolen bikes, but just because I don't want you to lose it and flip out.
Right. Bikes can be replaced. Your sanity can't.
Right.
And that's the public service announcement.
If you kill the chump who stole your bike, you'll go to jail.
Probably going to be considered to be excessive.
Yeah. Eric Salgado says, lol, you know when they won't release those videos for another reason besides money? They didn't want people to see their lives and getting them wrecked in deposition. I hypothesized today that maybe the deposition videos were only released by me because the other side couldn't afford it. So that's
no. They don't tell us if the other side, bought them or not. I know the other side got transcripts just because when we ordered them, the court reporter said something about that because she said, when do you want them? And I said, just when it's convenient. Well, the other side wants them quickly, so I'll just get, I can get them to you then. But that was transcripts, not videos. So I don't know.
Now, if you don't want to answer this, don't. This is a question. How much do transcripts and deposition videos cost where you are?
I was afraid you're going to ask me, Nick. I don't know. They're expensive. I mean, I don't want to say over.
But we can infer a transcript is significantly cheaper than a video.
Yeah, because the videographer has to go home and edit it and get the sound right and all that kind of stuff. Gosh, I think you could be looking at a couple of grand for transcripts and videos for each deposition.
Okay.
It's not. These are all day events too, and of course you have to pay the court reporter to be there.
Right. Yeah, so you have to pay the reporter and the videographer for their time. Yeah. And then to buy their work product, it costs an extra fee.
Yeah. Precisely.
Very, very nice inside information for people. Long Branch Penny Whistle says, sending this chat to spite my brother and roommate who criticized me for giving a chat to a lawyer on YouTube because, quote, he makes plenty of money. I get to pay for what I want so long as I pay my bills, try and stop me. Tell him, you ain't my daddy.
Is that true, Nick? Do you make plenty of money?
Sometimes.
No. Is there such a thing as plenty of money?
I don't know if there's enough in the world. I would never tell someone else that they have made enough money. How's that?
No, I would not either.
I might eventually tell me that I've made enough money.
Sure.
That's a different thing. But I would never tell someone else that they've made enough money. And I would certainly never discourage someone from supporting their artists, even if those artists, if I think they're the dregs of the earth. Like, for example, if you want to if you want to buy Maddox's book, for example, then go buy Maddox's book. Not that I don't think Maddox is a dreg of the earth. I think it's a funny joke to say that he is, but no, I never suggest that even people that I'm opposed to in a legal action or whatever, I never suggest that people should stop supporting their work. Samuel Montana says, from the search I did at 8:30 p.m. CST, 33 claimed, 36 injured, thought to be said to be. Did you hear about this, Ty? A major anime studio in Japan was arsoned. And
my marketing guy called me up and said, "Did you have anything to do with that?"
No.
I said I have no direct connection to that whatsoever.
Yeah, 33 people are dead.
Is that any of the now? Does that studio do any of the anime that Vic and the rest of them do?
I don't know anything other than I know that Toei does Dragon Ball.
Wasn't a disgruntled employee that
something like that? They've got 2 suspects from what I hear. And
how does somebody go in and burn a place down and kill more people than your average shooter with an assault rifle?
It was on a higher floor of a multi-level building. From what I could tell from the pictures I saw, it was like a several story building, and it's one of the just floors. So they probably just had nowhere to go. Rude.
Yeah.
Sammy Sam says, got refunded by GoFundMe. Very upset about it as I used my correct details when making the payment. Just donated again as anonymous. I will actually donate again just to piss off Kick Vic and encourage everyone else to do so. Thank you very much. Richmeister84 says, KyoAni animated Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. So that is a Funimation property. One character is Quetzalcoatl Lukoa for short, is constantly molesting and trying to seduce an elementary school boy. English voice actor for that character is Jamie Markey. So there you go. You might want to add that to your demo reel. Front Hole Enthusiast says, and appreciate you no longer drawing attention to it. Stinks of Kick Vic, in my opinion. Well, yeah, the GoFundMe was clearly reported. by people. That's been happening the whole time. It was bound to occur, and I have no problem with GoFundMe's position. They have to maintain appearances of their terms of use, and as long as they do not say that the campaign is in danger or the campaign itself is violating any of the rules.
Right. Neither you nor I objected to them saying, you can't say that kind of, you can't, these names they're offensive. Neither one of us complained about that.
Right. As long as the fault for those names is not imputed upon the campaign,
right.
I don't have a problem with them saying.
I don't think it will be. I think GoFundMe is sophisticated enough to understand.
Right.
How things go.
But of course, it is plainly obvious where the stink came from.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see. Oh my goodness, there are a lot of questions for you, just so you know. I just gotta find them. There, Corethus says, I think from here on out, Anonymous is a choose your own adventure name. Whatever is the funniest thing you can think of when you read it is what Anonymous means. Max Ruskin says, hi, Nick, keep up the great work. Also, after watching Monica's video, all I have to say is Monica's teeth look brighter than her future. Nicholas Smith says, can I ask my friend Spartacus to donate to the GoFundMe? I mean, you can ask whoever you want to donate to the GoFundMe. Gothic Nerd Chick says, I'd like to encourage people to email Liberty City Con and Colossal Con as they are hesitant to invite Vic back due to the situation. Soy Boy, Sheepdog, and Worst Girl deserve all the worst. DCV Titan says, wait, is GoFundMe saying that I can't identify as Ron's monofilament phallus, Monica's favorite pet Shane, or Lemoyne's Mandingo mosquito in the moment of donating? Sounds like it might be transphobic. Yeah, but you can't.
So that's probably not going to pass.
Yeah, I think right now they're going to ask you to name yourself Stan Smith or Anonymous. That's pretty much it. Storm Knight MD says, to quote a favorite show, Babylon 5, in regards to the deposition hearing regarding Rial, you should never hand someone a gun unless you're sure where they'll point it. Your mistake. Blackguard 4 says, assuming that Vic wins the case, how do people like Rial, Toye et al. Not go to jail, prison for their actions, like playing the reversal card in Uno? Their actions have been detestable. Well, they're not.
It's not a criminal action; it's civil.
Right. Now there is a weird possibility for some sort of criminal action, and that is in perjury. Can you explain how? Now, I don't know that any perjury that may or may not have occurred in deposition would rise to this level, but in a hypothetical future deposition, say of someone who does commit some sort of perjury, at what point does the court go from a civil case to saying we need criminal charges on this perjury?
It has to be pretty egregious. First of all, the perjury has to be material, so. If you ask the witness what's your address and they give the wrong address, well, unless the address is the critical issue in the case, that's not perjury. Depositions are more complicated too because the witnesses, generally speaking, do occasionally forget things. They get mixed up. They get right. Lawyers don't always ask questions quite as well, and they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. Where you get in trouble with perjury, I think. Where your real risk is in written.
Sure.
Right.
What if your written testimony disagrees with your deposition testimony?
Again, materiality. Courts are pretty reluctant to send somebody to jail because of perjury. I mean, they really are. But what they are perfectly willing to do is allow you to point out these inconsistencies to the jury and ask the jury to,
So for example, let's see, someone accused of battery, okay, says that Joe is a third party, and he can attest he saw the anger on the batterer's face, right? They say that in their deposition that Joe can come in and say he saw the anger on the batterer's face before he punched the victim, right? Mm-hmm. But in their written testimony, They say that Joe could not see the batterer's face because his face was obscured by a ski mask, so he couldn't discern the emotion. Is there a material difference there?
Yeah, possibly. It depends on the case in particular. If that difference is material, and
let's say that the difference in the case is the difference between a battery and some sort of we'll say there's the anger in the face would allow for like an exemplary damage or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the court's going to give witnesses a lot of deference, but of course, a skillful lawyer will simply ask them about 4 different times.
Sure.
And that's where you get in trouble in oral testimony. You can say, are you sure? You're really sure. If you're ever being deposed and the lawyer looks over at you and says, are you certain about that answer? You had better stop talking and think it through.
I mentioned that on one of my streams.
And that's good advice because, where courts get ticked off when you lie on the stand and you get caught, okay? Because you're in the judge's courtroom and you're doing that. They get ticked off if you. I was involved in the case. I was a consultant on a divorce where the other party, our client, sort of suborned perjury. I'm sorry, witness tamper. Excuse me. Sent a text message to one of the children saying, "Don't answer. You get on the stand and lie." And a text message. We somehow we managed to extract ourselves out of that, but the judge was pissed off enough about it that he actually put the hearing off and ordered us to get criminal counsel.
Wow.
Perjury and depositions, that's hard. It's hard to get there because, like I said, people get confused. People don't remember. People blah, blah, blah. But when you answer interrogatories, for example, and you're flat out lying, because again, it's easier to prove written statements are false.
Right.
For the record, I don't think there's anything I've seen in this case yet that would rise to the level of perjury.
Sure. Sure.
I do think there are some very questionable deviations.
Right.
But,
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, Andre C. says, you shameless grifter, stoking us poor plebs with what you're going to do next. Raising a glass of Jameson Black Barrel to you from Alabama. Keep up the excellent work, Nick and Ty.
Hey, is that as good as Jack Daniels? Sorry.
Come on now. Let me just say, Andre C., be very careful in Alabama. I hear there is a man with no chin and who exudes soy sauce when he sweats, wandering around Alabama universities. Just stay away from that as much as possible. Kolya Dante says, so this makes 3 conflicting accounts of this event. 2 of them from Rial herself. Interesting that her second account was restated to downplay Dahlin as a witness right before he gave this statement. You have a good day, I think they meant. I got to get to work. Hey, thank you. B. West says, congrats on 70,000 subscribers. Here's my first super chat. Thank you, Nick, so much for all you've done. Hey, my pleasure. Now, what I'm going to do, Ty, is I'm going to get to a question for you.
Okay.
That will last you more than a minute to answer, and I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Izzyland says, hey, Nick and Ty, it's Izzy Bolden. Nick, I was wondering if I can come on your stream sometime. Maybe. Also, Vic killed it at the depot. I'm just sick of lives being wasted and watched the innocent suffer. We must #break the cycle. Tomoki Sakurai says, Ty, your thought when you heard Conslut mentioned for Jesse Pridemore in Vic deposition. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I thought it was hilarious, personally.
Did I say anything on the trend in the video? I can't remember.
I don't think you did there, but you did have a very uncharacteristic giggle.
Yeah.
I think when either Volney or Sam Johnson asked a question, you giggled, but it was not the Conslut question.
I think I chuckled. I don't believe I giggled.
Well, I mean, you can try and de-girlify your reaction all you want. I'm going to call it a giggle. Mark Nicholas says, Boomer Nation strikes again. Thank you. Izzyland says, oh, and Nick and Ty, can you give me your best objection non-responsive? I was waiting for my Amazon waifu Carrie to say that. I would have died happy, but Ty, you did boom a little at the depot, and so did Vic, lol. Can you give your best objection non-responsive, Ty?
Objection non-responsive.
How about
Just
this?
kind of
Objection non-responsive. That's
now, I like to chuckle if I'm really trying to express my contempt for the question.
It was you chuckled at Pretty Ugly Little Liars. Maybe you chortled.
Yeah, that's probable.
I think when Vic said that it was a repository of garbage.
Yeah.
See? Yep. You definitely chortled at it because you just did.
I probably did.
Craig Litton says, Ty Beard's newest game, A Fistful of Toy. Creaster says, Ty, as a Menzen, can you attend Mind Games 2020 near Dallas? Please consider joining me there. Nick and Ty, you may find the Canadian pre-Me Too trial of Gian Gomeshi interesting, especially with regards to Heinen and emailing Ducoteur. That's very Canadian. Can you attend Mind Games 2020 as a Menzen?
I've never been to a single Mensa event ever.
Mm-hmm. Too smart for Mensa. That's what you're telling me.
No, just better things to do with my time.
Well, there you go. Fur Derrig says, hey, Nick, I've been loving the streams for a while now. A nerd bar near me has fallen on hard times and figured I'd give their GoFundMe a shout out. The Palace Dungeons and Drafts in Fort Collins, Colorado is raising money to stay open. So you guys can check out the Palace, the place.
Dungeons and Drafts. I like that.
Dungeons and Drafts in Fort Collins, Colorado.
To the Vincent guy, I make a counter proposal. Let's find a role-playing game convention or a war game convention and meet.
There you go.
There you go.
Rando number 9 says, Ty, please be the one to depose Marky. She's been talking good game on Twitter, and I'd love to see you break her. That's a little much.
Probably Carrie or Jim.
I was wondering. I thought Carrie might be great for Marky.
Yeah, Jim's pretty good too. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I got to figure that out.
Nigerian paralegal says, might a lawyer ever strategically fail to tell his client information collected during discovery so that his client cannot answer questions about that information during depositions? And I will let you go with that one. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Did you need me to repeat that, or you got it?
Repeat it real quick. I think I got it. But
might a lawyer ever strategically fail to tell his client information collected during discovery so that his client cannot answer the questions about that information during depositions?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it could happen. The thing is, though, you run the risk of outsmarting yourself. That's what I call it. In the real world, complicated plans and strategies often fail just because they're too complicated to work. And, we're not supposed to withhold information from the court. We're not supposed to participate in misleading the court. But of course, there's a huge gray area. I'm assuming the question be something like, in discovery, I find something that my client did, but they've forgotten, and I don't remind them so that when they're deposed, they don't answer. I don't know. I guess it's possible. I think, though, the other problem, though, is, if it goes bad, and if in other words, if you didn't tell your client, and because you didn't tell them, it works to the client's detriment, now you've committed malpractice. And that tends to piss the clients off something fierce when that happens. To younger lawyers in our firm, I always say, look, just keep it simple. Go do your job, tell the truth, shoot straight, because these real fiddly plans. I mean, in the current case, there's a good example. The attempt to calibrate, to depose Vic and then file the anti-slap motion and all that kind of crap, to try to time that out precisely the way they did, they failed. When they might have had a chance of pulling it off, they just simplified the plan and not really gone after the written discovery. What I was saying, Nick, was...
No, I was just going to say great answer.
Yeah, thank you. What I was saying was you can outsmart yourself by doing fiddly plans.
Right.
I just don't recommend that.
Yeah, the best plan of a lawyer that a lawyer can have is look at the law, apply the facts to law, and go through it. Like that's
and
the
don't
best
lie,
one.
don't mislead the court. Don't because the thing is, you might get away with it 50 times, but that one time you don't get away with it,
You get sanctioned.
That's going to be a very bleak day.
All right. Angel Grunts. Oh, excuse me. Says, I live with a recovering alcoholic who's out of town, sipping Maker's 46. Ooh, that's pretty good. And I appreciate the coverage. Mr. Beard, I've known many lawyers, and your presentation and temperament reflect a noble practitioner. Nick, you're okay.
Actually, I think you're a little better than okay, Nick, frankly.
Well, thank you. Otherwise, I was going to call you Brutus. Travis the Bard says, so it seems they had a clever plan, just poorly executed. That was in reference to their deposition.
No, I don't think they poorly executed it. I think they executed it just fine. We figured it out. And, they had no control over that. It was, look, I have no animosity about that. It was worth a shot.
Ty, do you wash your hands after you go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Oh, you need to get on YouTube level. You got to lick them clean, just so you know. WebMike8 says Primark beer. What?
I said okay.
Yeah, you need to. I'm just telling you. You don't have time to wash. You got to lick them clean on the way back.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay, I get the reference. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Primark Beard, thank you for representing Vic Black Mold Mignana against Moronica Soy Losers. Have you heard of a band called Sabaton? They use battles and heroics for songs. A fellow follower of Korn should like it.
No. What's it again?
Sabaton. Sabaton.
Okay, now I'll look them up.
Yeah, I think you'll like them. If you like Iron Maiden, you'll like Sabaton. Should be right up your alley.
Okay.
Mr. Non-Offensive says, cheers to you both. You're doing God's work. Ty, I felt so bad for you during the depo. I hope you didn't catch soy AIDS. Very dangerous. On a related note, please check out my terrible music vid, Fear the Beard. It isn't very good. # shilling. So there you go.
I'm flat.
That schizo guy says, if Jay Sean does get to depose you, Nick, please repeatedly ask him to speak up and repeat the question. I'm not going to be a dick. But I might answer him like that. DVD Killer says, if Ron Toye was a chicken, that hen would crow cuck-a-cuckle-doo, and he plans to show Jamie the joys of being a cuck, but couldn't do his mic. Oh my goodness. You shouldn't even be on here while I'm reading this. Couldn't do to his micro pecker, so the next thing is with their finances. Good God. Cabria Cousin says, speaking of lawsuits, it's apparently going around on Twitter that people want to file a class action suit against Vic because they are upset. Thoughts? Lol?
Lol.
I mean, class action lawsuit.
What would the cause of action be precisely?
Have you considered that he is a white male?
Yeah. White.
That is the cause of action, I believe.
Yeah. The problem is I don't believe our legal system offers that cause of action. So try them in Twitter if you want to, but when you become to big people court, I think you're going to need a genuine cause of action.
I think that might get an anti-slap in Texas.
Yeah.
What do you do if you anti-slap like against 4,000 people all suing you at the same time?
You put them all through a whole lot of trouble.
Perception check says the beard is getting sexually assaulted by the cat. Very rude of your cat to do that.
No, she's left me now. I mean, she's much like getting tossed off the chair.
Morty J says, Mr. Beard, do you and Carrie have preferred wine and liquor? I live in Louisville and would like to deliver, personally if possible, for how well you did and how cerebral Carrie dissected Monica's Harlequin mask.
I think Carrie likes wine. If Nick will take his earphones off, I'll tell you what liquor I like.
He likes the cheapest bottle of Jack Daniels you can find. It'll cost you nothing. You'll just get it from the local homeless man, and he will just he has extra. He has extra because that's part of the.
You can buy the expensive Jack Daniels if you want to.
All right. Yeah, Carrie likes a red, if I remember right.
Yeah, what did you drink on the stream when she and Lacey were on your show? Whatever that
I
was.
can't remember. Go back and watch it. That seemed like a good one. I
Yeah.
like the Spike Man says, chat sees cat. Also chat, can I has cheeseburger? I wish I had a cheeseburger. Sakaki Onzai says, congratulations, Ty. Your cat won the case. Now, theoretical question. If Jamie was to be deposed, who would be the best deposer to match her impressive rap skills? Also, Ty, if you visit Oregon, find me. I'll buy a round.
I got a friend that lives in Washington State that wants me to come up there. I hear Oregon's a very beautiful state. And no mosquitoes. I hear no mosquitoes. Which,
yeah, but except in Portland, there are lots of mosquitoes.
I don't know what that world would be like. But
Mine Cough says, Mr. Beard, whichever of your daughters learned you how to meme deserves a raise. Press 1 in chat if you agree.
I agree.
Fluffy Tet says, Ty, I have to ask, how in the name of God Almighty did you keep your cool deposing Ron? Anyone else, even the Pope himself, would have wanted to slap him so hard he'd grow a jawline.
I'm a little disappointed in myself. I didn't keep my cool necessarily throughout the process. I did get frustrated there. I mean, those depositions, they drag on. You get tired, especially in the afternoons. And when witnesses isn't being responsive and they're just obviously not being cooperative, I wasn't entirely happy with losing my cool.
Well, there you go.
Like I said,
yeah.
I'm not a bully.
TKPS says, first super chat ever. Ty's promise to Vic's mom and your fantastic work in keeping us up to date and entertaining is a great incentive. Oh, thank you. Bob the Troll King says, thankfully I'm fat, so I don't mind losing food money for this month to pay for this. Both of you folk are awesome. Also, watch me make Nick say peen. And then he said, he followed up with, only joking, I can eat. Please don't worry about me. Okay.
Oh, hey, Nick, why don't you tell them about the idea for a new mug that I had earlier today?
What was the idea for a new mug?
It was basically, damn it, Nick, you lost the case again.
Oh, yes, lost the case again.
You lost the case again. I think that would be great to put on.
I think we need the math formula for like a summation of case loss, and then n equals Nick plus 1, and then n plus 1 equals tweets or something.
I'll ask Paul Minson, a buddy of mine, who co-designer of Fistful of Toes, to draw us up with an impressive formula. He's an MIT grad, so
yeah, give me a nice summation formula for how I can repeatedly lose the case and constantly put that on a mug.
Yeah, a continuous mathematical loop. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he could. He could, if anybody can.
I don't know if his mathematical skills are able to keep up with my ability to lose the case for you.
Close fight. Yeah.
The other mugs I've gotten requests for are objection to form and objection non-responsive.
That's glorious.
The reason that Toye wore a wife beater to Monica's deposition was that this is from the Big Fee, was that he heavily soiled the pants of his one and only ill-fitting JCPenney suit the day before. Love you both. Ty's headbutting cat cracked me up. Carrie Steers says, here's my first super chat off-topic question for Ty. I'm building my first war game. Is there a way to reach out to you to ask questions about yours?
The Fistful of Toes Facebook group, I frequent that. I'm not sure what kind of war game you're playing, but yeah, that'd probably be the best. Just post something on the Fistful of Toes Facebook group, and I'll direct message you or something. What
about wargaming in a gun-free zone?
Well, we do need sensible restrictions on, reasonable restrictions.
Look, I'm going to have you put that paladin tank away, please. Keck7Go says, Lemoyne is still a piece of crap for trying to pry into Vic's mental health care. I would levy this criticism on BHBH if they did the same. Lemoyne still needs to get stung by AIDS bees in Minecraft. Blaine20 says, if possible. That was an interesting exchange. Did you want to comment at all about Lemoyne asking about Vic's counseling? Because you objected at first, and then you kind of backed off the objection.
Yeah, I jumped the gun. It was not, and again, that's just kind of the way I am. I objected to something that really wasn't objectionable. And although he backed off, I was like, "No, you can answer yes or no." I mean, I think if you watch Vic's deposition, it's very clear that they were attempting to embarrass and humiliate him any way they could.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those questions were irrelevant.
And I personally, myself, don't do that. And I've even gotten crossways with clients before when they've wanted me to do that in deposition, and I refused. I hate it when lawyers act like bullies. I just do. And it wasn't that I had a lot of patience with Ron Toy. It's just that I'm not a bully. I'm not going to beat the guy up, even whether or not I think he deserves it. I thought it was distasteful, to say the least.
Sure.
But I also think Vic did a very good job of dealing with it. I would hate to answer those kinds of embarrassing questions like that,
Mm-hmm. All right, Blaine 20 says, if possible, any comment on the willingness and ability to make new actions for new defamation and TI occurrences?
Yeah. I mean, if you sue somebody and they defame you after you sue them, I mean,
What if one of their affiants actively engages in tortious interference?
They can be invited to the party. At the very least, and that's kind of conduct, too, that could be offered up to impeach the affidavit. Although some of those affidavits, frankly, are self-impeaching. So,
Yeah. Well, I think you might have one to impeach. Actually, you probably have, you have a couple to impeach if they're even admissible. Blaine 20 says, if able, any comment on Vic's depo where Twit and claims he screwed his defense against the Tcpa regarding public figure damage responsibility by defendants for damage, etc.
No, he didn't.
I think what this is referring to is someone who I highly regard suggested that Lemoyne asking Vic about damages was quote unquote a work of art.
No. Very common in depositions that witnesses don't know the damages that we ask for because their damages are highly speculative when you file suit. In our disclosures that we filed, I stated my intention to use a discounted cash flow model to develop our damages. But, it's not clients, even if they read the pleadings, which they always do, they forget them. Mm-hmm.
They're not lawyers.
Right, and the idea that what are you gonna you're gonna go to the court and go, Your Honor, in his deposition he said he wasn't asking for damages. I moved to dismiss. Are you kidding me? Come on.
That sounds like a good plan. That was my plan.
Well, I've never seen that work. No, people don't lose lawsuits in depositions. I mean, no one lost the case on either side in those depositions. What happened was a lot of testimony got tied down, and a lot of frankly bullshit out there on Twitter got exposed as being nothing more than talk.
Right.
But no, you don't lose cases in depositions typically. It just doesn't happen.
All right, I like the Spike Man says, Ty, ruin these jerks, not our waifus, please. So they're.
What is a waifu?
Oh, like you don't
know. Or do I not want to know?
Stop playing coy, Ty. Stop playing coy. What are you, a fish? Are you a fish? Mr. Inflammable says, are you two aware that Vic actually voiced a character for one episode of PSG? I don't know what that is. There's a video of one of Vic's convention appearances where he goes over his role in the show and why he took it.
I'll tell you something that's interesting. The girls were watching the school one that he voiced, where he plays the over-the-top.
Or in high school?
Yeah. They were watching it, and they came in, and it was surreal for me to watch that. I mean, I've seen Star Trek Continues, and it doesn't bother me at all when I see him on the screen in Star Trek Continues. But it was weird to hear his voice. And of course, what amazes me is how closely his voice matched the actual movement of the lips. I mean, that's weird because they're presumably speaking Japanese. But yeah, that's been odd to hear. And I've heard other voice actors that I've come to know. When I hear them on stuff, it's like it's just oh, that sounds. I don't know. It's weird.
PSG is panty and stocking and garter. So it's that. So he did a character for one episode of that. Just so you know.
I'm not criticizing that show. What I'm saying is that's an example of something that I don't think you want. I don't think Funimation wants mainstream America looking too closely at that.
Right.
And I'm not threatening to expose it or anything. I don't have any way of doing that. I'm just saying that these kinds of fights, though, you know, it would probably be best for the hobby to not try to make this the big epic thing. I don't care. You know, I'm going to win this case at the courthouse, not in the news. But, you know, going on and on about this, I just think, I mean, my goodness, what if some enterprising politician decided they wanted to start having hearings on, sexually explicit anime? I mean,
it'd be the worst thing.
Oh God. I mean, no, really, they're ancient beings. They only look like nubile teenage girls. Oh God.
Jeremy Rocks says, "Hey Nick, second time super chatting. We should have Ty read more questionable anime descriptions. The weirder, the better." That doesn't sound good.
No, I think I'm probably tapped out on that.
The Angel Grunt says, Ty's argument seems to be that it's odd for victims who work in a waifu-liberated environment of sorts take a selectively puritanical approach to pedestrian affectionate behavior and label it as harassment. That's a good summary.
Yeah, I like that.
Scyther X says, I'm still catching up, so sorry if you covered this already. If Monica says the bedroom story was part of Funny's investigation, they say they investigated but never asked Stan, well, I think he means Vic, about it. Won't that hurt Funny's TCPA too? Very much.
Well, yeah, I mean, that might be something that we would probably get into some discovery on, because I don't believe they did. I think, if they're going to ask him, when you think about the things they did ask him about, why on earth would they not ask him about something that is clearly, as described, a sexual assault? Right. That doesn't make any sense at all. I don't think much of their
I can tell you why. It's called a civil conspiracy.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, look, we're gonna hammer the timeline hard. If in fact that wasn't reported to Funimation, that's a pretty glaring omission, and I think it's entirely appropriate to say, you reported jelly beans, but you didn't report this.
Yeah,
and I don't think it was.
I mean, she's already got a problem because allegedly or apparently she didn't report the hair incidents that seem to really bother her now.
Yeah. In her deposition, she talked about it happening all the time, and yet there are no witnesses.
Right, and those do not seem to have been investigated by Funimation either.
No.
So very strange. Sven Sorensen says, "Hey Ty, do you listen to Sabaton? They're a power metal band that does songs about historical wars and battles. Their new album, The Great War, comes out tomorrow, and they will be on tour in Dallas this October."
Sounds like somebody I need to listen to.
Yeah, people.
Sounds a lot like Iron Maiden, actually, like you said.
Chrono Trigger Happy says, "Does the other side even know you can buy them?" In regards to Deposition, yes, they do. They do. Socialism is for figs says to Ty. Carrie brought the Harry Carey 40 cal to Monica. It felt like she was saying, "Do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do ya? And I'm happy you are killing the hashtag #MeToo movement. This is one small step for man, one giant step for mankind." Brian Dewig says, "If the judge lets you live stream from the courtroom, will you and Ty be willing to have Nick deposed?" No, I have to clarify. I did communicate to you that I am willing to do the deposition on condition that they go ahead and drop admit that Vic is
that he's not a public figure.
Yeah, that they stipulate Vic is not a public figure. That way, we just can avoid that line of questioning altogether.
Yeah. Well, let's see if they agree to that.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that was communicated. I'm pretty sure I'd communicated that effectively.
I think I've always found you to be tough but fair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just figure if they thought if their position was to stipulate that he was not, that he was a public figure, that I would merely counteroffer and stipulate that he's not a public figure.
I got to admit, I have no idea what that had to do with anything. I mean, how you, I mean, I hold you in high esteem, Nick, but how exactly are you the arbiter of whether someone's a public figure or not?
Well, I mean, I don't know that they'd like my testimony on it.
Huh?
I don't know that they'd overly like my testimony on it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
But if they want it, I guess, and they earn it, I'll happily give them my opinion.
Yeah, that was one of those things I read that I went, do what?
Yeah. Very weird. Matthew Spur says, Nick and Ty, thank you for calming down my brother with his bike issue. He lives on his own and struggles with some special needs. I was surprised to hear that my brother was struggling from your show, and I made sure he is okay. Well,
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. I hate that.
E1337 Neo says, hey, Nick, have you and Leor Lesser, a.k.a. YouTuber Law, ever had any interaction before? I was down in Miami and I tried to meet up with him and things didn't work out. I was on a kind of tight schedule and it just didn't happen. I remember he also weighed in on the Maddox lawsuit way back when, and it would have been hilariously awesome to see you two collaborate. Yeah, I don't know that he's following this lawsuit at all. He's got his other stuff. I haven't been keeping up with Leor. Very much hold him in high esteem. He seems like a very nice guy. I do want to meet him sometime. DFW Knight says, Ty, a little east of DFW Airport is a shop called Corvette Warehouse, which scours the land for fast cars to refurbish. The owner has other business interests that often need legal advice. Maybe you could barter for a dream car.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cuneo Sanchez says, hey, Nick, would you and Ty be able to get on a stream with Drexel? And maybe as a stream topic, can you discuss the abuse of immunity that social media has taken advantage of while actively silencing people for offensive points of views?
I bet Drexel has a perspective on that, and I bet it's very interesting.
Yep. He was with me today briefly.
Yeah.
I get to see him tomorrow, but he won't be on the show. He won't be on the show.
I told you when I heard your first show, the first show I ever heard with you on there, he's going on, and I'm going, that actually kind of makes sense. It was he's a sharp guy with very interesting opinions. Yeah. Stephen Avery says, Ty, fellow wargamer, you game micro armor. Call it. Tiger 2 hits upper glasses on T-3485 at 250 meters with heap. Result. Penetrates armor and starts fire? ? Tank explodes ? Or in one side and out the other ? Penetrates armor and starts fire.
All right. Thank you. Very important. Nova Zero says, Ty.
High explosive armor piercing wouldn't punch all the way through the turret.
Gotcha. Nova Zero says, Ty, Monica and Ron defamed Vic during their deposition. If not, then they committed perjury. Since you're not a judge and can't judge that, but change my mind.
Well, legally, there's immunity in legal proceedings.
Right, they're privileged.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, in a deposition, no one was defamed exactly because theoretically, all that happened were questions were asked.
Right.
Yeah.
The Trash Town TV says, I had $30 refunded to me by GoFundMe. I'm giving it all back tomorrow, and I encourage those who believe in justice for Vic to do the same. Let's stand together with Vic and against the monsters who want to see him dead. Insert clever name here says,
let's not let him dance in the end zone on this. I mean, it's an insignificant victory for him anyway, but let's don't.
Right. Oh my goodness. Insert clever name here says, you said last night that the defendants were texting questions to Das Fuhrer before he passed the witness. Is that technically allowed?
I'm sorry, say that again. I was lost in thought.
That the defendants might have been texting questions to the deposer before he passed the witness. Is that allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed, and it's not uncommon actually. The clients. Typically, when I've got a client sitting at a deposition, when we complete our deposition, I'll turn to the client and say, anything else you want me to ask you? So nothing terribly sinister about that.
Objection to sidebar. Blaine 20 says, Ty, I heard a rumor that you gave Yamato Girl to your younger beardling I figured it might be a little odd. Still waiting for photos of metal earth tanks, though.
Guys, I hadn't had time to even look up. The day will come where I'll get those done. I've never built any metal models, though, so, we'll see. But.
Well, there you go. Zypher Warrior says, do we have anything regarding what Monica Rial said about Sentai Filmworks? She claimed Vic is not allowed on the property of Sentai Filmworks. Is this true? Will you seek an affidavit from John Ledford, the CEO of Sentai?
Vic says it's not true. I hadn't really gone down that path yet.
My research says that is not true at all.
No, I don't think it's true.
Bryce Byerly says, I used to work as an IT monkey for a law firm. I used to think that lawyers made the giant sums from obscene hours of research they did, but after the Depot of Toy, I see it's their superhuman levels of patience.
Well, thank you.
Blaine 20 says, GoFundMe may have flipped a KYC switch, even for anonymous, which may deter people from donating. How infuriating. I think people will still donate.
Yeah.
Texan83 says, Ty, I gave Brianna a link to the Sabaton the night she was on Nick's show, and she replied, so clearly she didn't share with you. Might need to talk to her about that, I think. Also, favorite style.
She may very well have, and I forgot. So
good dad. Favorite style of pen.
Favorite style of pen?
Yeah.
Oh, fountain pen.
Okay. Any particular one? Do you like the
I
pump ones?
I had a Mont Blanc somewhere that's got the gold tip that's super smooth. I like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the big fat ones, though. I mean, the Mont Blanc I've got is actually almost as slender as a normal pen.
So you like them thin, not fat?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Devil Hunter Nero says, when Marky's lawyer was deposing Vic, Ty quickly interrupted saying they were going to be there tomorrow. The jury didn't come to a decision yet. Do you know what that was referring to?
What now? We were discussing whether or not we were going to meet. We were in the downstairs jury room at the Tarrant County Courthouse, and originally we were supposed to be in the jury room adjacent to Judge Chupp's courtroom. Sure. And that was chatter just about as we were winding up. Were we going to be,
just in the courthouse location of the deposition the next day?
Right. And we wound up actually staying in the same place for all three depositions.
Perfect. Friggin' Harlock says, Nick, you've got a sunglass sunburn. Come clean, it's obvious. Yacht use related. I don't like boats that much. Stop grifting so hard that your pre-melanoma face scorch betrays the fraudulent GoFundMe. My sunglasses are here, guys, right here. And it was very bright today. These are my sunglasses.
Dude, you actually do have sunglasses sunburned.
Oh, yeah. It was shockingly bright out. So
were you on the water?
No, God.
Okay.
No, I'm just running around outside all day. Small Balls Toy says, do you recall the day you had balls? What is the definition of balls? Because I don't recall having balls. Shark Week says, I got a bottle of Old Forester Prohibition style, 115 proof. I highly recommend it. JCF Data says, for Ty, what was the issue with Casey going off on Carrie? He seemed like he was just being a real jerk. Do you want to talk about that or no?
The event speaks for itself, and it was. Lawyers get heated sometimes, and that was not his finest moment, and I think he'd probably agree with that.
There you go. Dridicos says, hey, Nick and Ty, I would like to visit Bubba Fest and meet you both. Would I be able to buy you Chads a round of shots while there? I have not been known to turn down a shot.
I wouldn't offend you by turning down the...
Also, Ty, how often did you laugh to yourself when Vic owned Jay Sean with his answers?
Objection, non-responsive.
Alice Rose says, Beard Senpai, keep up the good work. Nick, it gives me a hecking glad to know that we share the same state. Hope you both have a good weekend. Hey, thanks, Alice.
Okay, I got to know, what is waifu, Nick? I mean...
You're back on waifu? That was like an hour ago.
I really don't know what it is.
Your waifu is your anime best girl. So you pick your best girl from anime.
Oh, okay. Your favorite character.
Sure. We'll call it that.
Okay. Never mind. Move on. Yeah.
Your favorite female character. Now, if you have a favorite male character, that could be your husbando.
Oh, that's a made-up word.
Like Kayla's husbando is whatchamacallit?
That's actually the word husbando.
Like Sam and Dean from Supernatural, for example.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, my daughters like Supernatural a lot too.
So that'd be their husbandos, or whatchamacallit, Castiel. Caboose Mobile says, in the middle of Vic Depot 4, got to the part where he said he did voices for Persona, and I'm so glad he remembers. Junpei from Persona 3 is my fave character Vic has played. Started playing in college 7 years ago, never forget. Blaine20 says, Jamie needs a male deposer to bring out the feminist bitch attitude. Texan83 says, also, how can Vic be on the box of some other show when he isn't even on the box for Full Metal Alchemist? Also, I gave Brianna a Sabaton link weeks ago, and she replied, why has she not shared it with you yet? We covered that. That.
So on that box thing, we can't seem to find the box that she referred to, that Vic was on that she wasn't on. If there is such a DVD box, I'd like to see it.
There you go. Austin Heartless says the Corvette C8 was just announced by GM.
Pretty.
I do like Corvettes. I really do.
Yeah.
Frostbeard 2 says, Ty Sabaton, that is your homework. Enjoy.
Okay.
Not a Troll says, hey, gentlemen, thank you for your support of due process, standing up for actual justice, and stopping not just one man, but future cases of people being destroyed by BS claims. Also, stop pausing the depositions to yap. Just kidding.
I actually enjoyed your commentary, frankly.
Well, thank you.
Although I do think you should have had a record scratch on the second question that I asked of Mr. Toy. That would have been... that would have been...
Now, you said you don't bully people, but that wasn't a bullying question.
No, that was a hypothetical.
Right. Now, I think it's a relevant hypothetical, too.
Yeah, I mean, the course of the questioning was obvious.
Right. Scyther X says, Nick, when I asked about Funny not asking Stan about the supposed bedroom account in their investigation, I meant they didn't ask Stan Dahlin as he was unaware of it. Yeah, I know. No one seems to have asked Stan. They just decided to raise him as a fact witness and say that he would have information. And they... Now, Ty, can you comment on this? My advice is always verify your witnesses.
I generally like to, if I've got a critical witness that I'm gonna proffer, I generally like to, make sure that they're going to actually testify the way I want them to testify.
Yeah,
it seems to have been an unwise move.
Yeah, that's that was something that they covered in law school very, very clearly. Now this was in regards to a more pressing personal injury matter like a car accident. It was
now, once again though, it's not uncommon for lawyers to take their clients' words for things.
Right.
In theory we shouldn't, but in the real world with limited resources and limited time, if a client says, oh, no, they're absolutely on our side, it's not a problem. You probably aren't going to rank that as something that you're going to check out. I doubt seriously this was the lawyer's mistake.
No, but I'm not suggesting that it necessarily was. I just very much remember when taking
But the thing is well, first of all, I would have wanted to have gotten an affidavit establishing it.
You're never going to let me finish this.
Oh, sorry.
But in my torts class, several years, God, that was a while ago now because that's a first-year class. He was very clear. Get the first statement from the witness, whoever it is, and he was talking in regards to like a slip and fall or a car accident, something like that. But in general, if there's a witness out there that's going to be a witness, get the first statement because you get to then craft the statement.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least head it off.
As important as that testimony was, it was a big mistake to not tie it down.
Exactly. Okay, next is Lane 20. Can Nick depose Iago, please? I don't think so.
Special guest deposer.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to be waved in pro hoc vice for a deposition.
I think I'm probably going to pull rank on that one.
Yeah. Angel Grunt says, Ty, who is in charge, Ron or Monica?
No idea.
The Big Red Bear says, hey, Ty, you play bolt action WW2 tabletop game? Best game I played in my 20 plus years of tabletop.
I have not. I hear it's a good game. That's a skirmish level. It's a skirmish game, but I have not.
Beyond
I've
that,
got it, but I haven't played it.
what happens? SU-100 fires and hits a Tiger II in the front armor of the turret, pen or bounce, and if pen, result.
Depends on the range. If it's point blank, it'll punch through the armor of the Tiger II. If it's not, doesn't penetrate, it probably will pin the tank because that's going to be a heck of a wang when it hits the front armor.
There you go. I don't know what that means. The Pie Baker says, Ty, what happened during the recess after Casey's outburst? Did he wake up and find a horse head in his bed? Okay, come on. I don't know if you can disclose that.
Well, I spoke rather bluntly to him, and we'll leave it at that.
There you go. Colin says, just got paid, so here's some for you. Hey, thank you. When you guys come to Knoxville, there's an excellent bowling alley bar that's excellent that I can show you. I'd be willing to pay for everything if you guys were up to it. Well, we'll see.
Cool. A bowling alley bar. I like that. Yeah.
Paul Godin says, Nick and Ty, how much and what kind of help can the fans give in acquiring information / evidence in the case?
Yeah, they've been doing it throughout the process. Just keep feeding it stuff that seems relevant. If a bunch of people are talking about it, don't bother because we probably already have it. But any kind, the main thing is, I'll tell you what doesn't really help us anymore is just innuendo.
Right.
We need facts at this stage. We need stuff that we can prove.
Facts and private things. Private messages, text messages that you emails, stuff like that. Could be
obscure video that disproves something. That's where crowdsourcing really comes into its own. Because some of these allegations go back 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, if you think it's important, just send it to us. We'll sort it.
E1337 Neo says, take another pair of sawbucks, Nick. Hey, thank you. Hey, Ty, how in God's name did you not reach across that table and throttle Casey when he told Carrie to behave herself? And by the way, a waifu is your anime significant other. They're trying to simplify it.
Right. And I think I get enough. We don't really have to talk about it anymore.
Yep.
No comment on that.
Stooge Muffin Stuffin says, Hollow from Spice and Wolf is best waifu. Fight me. And I've got just a couple more here, and then I should probably dismiss you.
Yeah. It's a school night, and I've got a long day tomorrow.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of chats left to read, but it's 2 a.m. So, Cowboy says, with Kevin Spacey's charges being dropped, it seems the hashtag #MeToo is losing its power. That doesn't seem optimistic for our soy friends. Did you hear about that, Kevin Spacey's?
I didn't hear about that. Apparently, one of the star witnesses decided they just weren't going to testify. Isn't that correct?
I have no idea. I just heard that they were dropped.
I think that's the prosecutor's star witness just clammed up. And
man, it's a shame when that happens. I love when that happens. I had a witness in it was a domestic violence case, and where I was representing the woman, and she had allegedly threatened to stab the man, according to a witness. And on the day of trial, that witness, the only witness to the event, called up the prosecutor and said, actually, I was blackout drunk that day and I don't remember anything. And I said, what you got for me, buddy? We got a stipulation for dismissal on that one, where basically a year of no criminal activity, and they unfiled the charges, and and basically held them. It was great.
That prosecutor was not a happy camper.
No, he was not. He was not a fan of me in general, because every interaction we had ended up something like that. He wanted to prosecute. This was great. I had this is my complaint about this guy. I had a different domestic violence case. I was representing the man who was not the dad, but he was a significant other of the woman, and the son of the woman had actually hit my client in the face with a shovel and thrown large stones at him. But when they arrested the kid, who was a teenager, a significantly aged teenager, when they arrested the kid, he told them that he only did that because my client hit the mom. So then I produced a letter from the mom that said he's never laid a hand on me, ever. And it was actually my son who was fighting with me, and he broke up the fight. And then my son hit him a whole bunch, right? And then the son actually, on the day of our one of our hearings, the son pled guilty that morning to all of this stuff, saying that he actually did everything and that the other guy was fine. And the prosecutor still wanted to prosecute my client.
That's ridiculous.
He did not win.
Good.
He did not win.
Good.
That one. Okay, CNN Slayer says, Ty, I bought a copy of your eldest daughter's book. Would it be cool if I swung by BHBH to get you both to sign it?
I suppose so. Just drop it off at the front desk if I'm not there, but yeah.
There you
go.
go.
I don't exactly know why I'm signing it, but you know.
Yeah. Bohica.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Bohica says, Ty, would you rather fight a thermonuclear war with Russia or take on kiwi farms?
If I've got a decent civil defense system, I think I'm going to go with a thermonuclear war with Russia.
There you go.
Oh, by the way, so I was polishing my shoes, and ironically,
you polish your own shoes?
Yeah, I shine my own shoes, but ironically, that's the shoe polish I use.
Cypop says, Ty, I'm trying to figure out how to send Nick some booze. Any suggestions on how to ship it? Also, would you like to try some branding iron or sinister apple whiskey from Badlands Distillery? I can pick up a small bottle if you want.
I don't know. Apple whiskey?
Don't knock it. I was at a
No. It's a question. I'm not judging it. I really don't know. Sure, I'll give it a try.
I was at a Twins game, and it was an apple infused whiskey with.
Well, I guess it's like apple cider, maybe only really stronger.
Yeah,
perhaps?
This one was the mixed drink was apple infused whiskey, apple, and like cinnamon. It was like an apple cider and cinnamon. It was like an apple pie with liquor in it in a drink. Oh, God,
and cinnamon. Yeah.
Sharon says Lemoyne kept referring to Rial as Mrs. Was this an attempt to get the court to see them as a unit as opposed to independent entities to remove conflict of interest? If they aren't married, does that constitute misleading? No. Thanks for late night fun.
He probably just was confused, or
he's just a boomer.
Just slipped into the habit.
Okay, two more and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Dark1005 says, Hey, Ty, has Nick shown you the image of Monica Rial from 2017 where she's leaning over a male colleague's shoulder and whispering into his ear while holding his chin? Or has he forgotten like a boomer? I know I sent you that image.
Yeah, you sent it to me.
Yeah. Nova Zero says, Ty, thank you for asking if Ron was pedophile. We needed to know. So there you go. That was a hypothetical, guys. It was a
very hypothetical.
So
no accusations were being made. I just wanted to punctuate the illustration.
Right. The object of that question is to lay out the gravity, a serious accusation that could be raised against someone, and if it were not investigated, what is the fairness in termination? That was
well. I mean, I think my question right after I asked that question was, you seem indignant that I asked you this question. Why is that?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that I followed up with that, and that was my point. Rightly so.
Of course.
All
right, man. Well, why don't I let you go? I'm going to read through the rest of these chats.
Okay. Enjoyed it. To everybody out there, appreciate you guys, and I'm sure we'll talk again. Nick, how many times did we lose the case tonight?
All of them.
Oh, wow.
All of the times. So,
what are you going to do? All right. Well, hey, you have a good one, my friend.
Yeah, you too, man. And we'll good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Peace. All right, guys. All right. That was Mr. Ty Beard. Let me recap the state of the case real quick. Before y'all run off, let me recap the state of the case. State of the case is Funimation filed their TCPA a while back. The hearing is on like August 8th or 9th or 7th. I don't remember which one, but one of those. Ron and Monica will be filing their TCPA tomorrow. That is their deadline. It's been in the works a long time. Jamie Markey will file her TCPA at some point. There is, of course, the Stan Dahlin affidavit that came out today. And there is allegedly at least one more, if not multiple more affidavits that will be playing a role in this TCPA. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to get my hands on one of them or two of them or however many of them there are. We'll see. I wouldn't know anything about that. And if one were to come in sometime in the near future, I don't want to suggest that it would be absolutely hilariously devastating, but it might be. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Let me, oh no, Montegraph is justice chatting me. This is definitely over 20 because it's several. There are 8 chats. There are 8. You've only got 5 of them. As soon as the 8 of them come in, I'm going to read all of them. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tomorrow night, I will have a show. It will likely involve Meyer versus Wade, the updates in Meyer versus Wade. It'll likely involve the TCPA. It will likely involve, potentially involve some other very interesting piece of information. We'll see. We'll see what's out. But, we keep plugging on. I have to do Meyer versus Wade tomorrow. Even if the TCPA is there, we'll do Meyer versus Wade first. I need to do it. It's been days and days and days. I want to look at their arguments. So we'll do Meyer versus Wade. And then we will do TCPA, unless, of course, there is something else to throw in there as well. But we will do it. It'll be a great show tomorrow. Either way. And then as for shows this weekend, I'm not sure if any shows this weekend will be happening due to the nature of what's going on. I will be traveling, so my background will be changing. But there should be shows next week and all that stuff. There's not Twitch tonight, mainly because the laptop that I've got and the mobile setup that I have is not ideally conducive to Twitch. I think I need a little more bandwidth, but we'll see. I do want to do some before the end of the month still. We'll get to it. And then next month, I'm back home. I'm back home next month, and we will be hitting very hard on Twitch. I love doing the Twitch gaming and stuff, but I am going to try and do some Twitch gaming of some sort while traveling. It's just, I'm not sure when that will be. So, all right. Did he get all 8 of them? He did. Here's the Montegraph message. Says, Monograph says, "What the F did you just effing say about me, Nikki? I'll have you know I am the king troll. I've made numerous secret raids on your YouTube chat, and I've made over 300 confirmed memes. I am trained in the telecommunications rules of engagement, and I am the top Q boomer in the entire deep state. You are nothing to me, but just a naughty idiot who needs to sit in the internet corner. I will mock the F out of you with memes, the likes of which have never been seen before on this earth. Mark my effing words, you think you can get away with saying that stuff to me over the internet? Think again, effer. As we speak, I am contacting my secret network of agents across the USA, and I am remote viewing you right now, so you better prepare for the storm, maggot. The storm that wipes out the pathetic little thing you call your law practice. You're effing done, Nikki. I can be anywhere, anytime, and I can call you from over 700 TJ Maxx locations, and that's just with my burner phone." Wait, this is like a Dennis Hopper voice. "Not only am I extensively trained in gay ops, but I have access to the entire arsenal of Raytheon's federal facilities, and I will use it to its full extent to wipe your miserable ass off the face of the internet, you little shit. If only you could have known what unholy retribution your little clever tweet was about to bring down upon you. Maybe you would have held your effing tongue about my watermelon effing, but you couldn't, you didn't, and now you're paying the price, you goddamn idiot. I will shit fury all over you, and you will drown in it. You're effing sued, kiddo. Kiddo. So there you go. That's Montegraph's very explicit text. Man, Monty, I didn't mean to make you that mad. Go bang out a watermelon and call it a day. Okay. Here we go. J. Dolph Lemois Esquire says he once satisfied hundreds of women at an anime convention with a single jelly bean. Who the F can do that? I can assure you that the stories you hear about this man, if nothing else, have been watered down. Mercenary X says, you missed out on my message from last night about me apologizing, calling you epic fail, because the other lawyers were being pure epic fail. Now you are fail. Also, the fire in Japan is more complex than we thought. YouTuber Mr. Obvious explained. Cool. White Fox says, hey, Nick, first time I sent a message, and I've been following the case with morbid curiosity, and I'm wondering why it seems like no one on Monica and Ron's legal team are taking this seriously. Or is there some strategy you're just not seeing? They just don't have an effective strategy. They don't know what to do. It was never supposed to get this far. They're in trouble. Mercenary says, apparently, according to Mr. Obvious, the entire studio is full of SJW feminists, and they messed with the anime, and the crazy man said it ruined his life. This is what I fear here. They push someone beyond the line. This is why I support Vic. Knight of Hopex says, they're not going to stop me from making fun of Jay Sean here, though. He's had it coming his entire life, apparently. He's such an a-hole. Reality decided to make him sound on the outside the way he is on the inside, like Gargamel from the Smurfs. I will eat the Smurfs. Know You're Breathtaking says BTFO. All right here. Hated 7 Days Tonight says, YouTube asked me how much I like the recommendation for the stream. Glad to see the 5-star rating system isn't completely dead. 2 hours of sleep is all I get today. Had to catch this live. The beard protects. Hey, thanks, buddy. Henry Aller says, hey, Nick, Leviticus and Deuteronomy don't apply to Christians, right? Sorry for the theology question, chat. Also looking forward to Road Rage, Minnesota. It depends on who you ask. I would say that Leviticus and Deuteronomy were structured as such, as rigid laws for the time and purpose that they are. Then as Jesus came back, he said that he was the fulfillment of the law, and that basically you can take his words to mean that the law as it was laid out in Leviticus and Deuteronomy was supposed to get at a different spirit than what it had become. That the rigid adherence to it created we'll say, a system of accusations of other people rather than a system of self-moderation and self-reflection. So there you go. That's my answer. And there's a longer answer, but that's good enough for that. Renee says, please, Mr. Beard, it doesn't matter if dubbed anime gets nuked. In fact, I encourage it. Let this case become a massive media storm so that the localized dubs are dead forever. Anime productions will survive. Dubs won't. Subs greater than dubs. TLJ Screwjob says, Ty begins retweeting. Training on King Kai's planet. Ty retweeting while memeing. Goes Super Saiyan 1. Also, what are your thoughts about Rooster Teeth, Ty? After the Monica emails with the CEO of Rooster Teeth, one of them even saying he is guilty, plus links to IO9. Well, we'll have to see. Cass says Dende is the best. Citizen of Yarnum says police are still on the lookout for a Caucasian man, mid-30s, dubbed the Boomer. Boomer breaks into your home and will demand your Wi-Fi password, claiming he must stream. Police advice to confuse him with tech from at least 2008 and call 911. You could actually just hand me the phone and call 911. I wouldn't understand what's happening. Lord S'more says, you know, Rackets, I had a funny thought. Jay Sean is the embodiment of the song Aqualung by Jethro Tull. The Coke Master says, the arson is a devastating blow to the studio. Of 150 to 200 employees, 33 are injured, 30 confirmed dead, meaning a loss of 40% of their employees. They also lost their main archive and data for upcoming seasons. I'm not sure they'll recover. Y says the arsonist was a train fanatic. Mad at KyoAni over some anime he was mad about getting plastered on a train. Think of it like if Chris Chan burned down Sega for making Sonic's arms blue. Building itself had only 2 exits and no fire exits. Oh, God. That's not a good building plan. Crusader Saracen says, to Ty Beardicus, hero of the Imperium, Sabaton actually has a song about Texan hero Audie Murphy, MOH, called Hell and Back, and it's freaking awesome. Question. So Casey, Eric, and Lemoyne play legal FF games. Has this backfired on them? Godspeed. The way it backfires is that everybody gets a mulligan. They get a limited amount of mulligans, do-overs, forgiveness from the court, and they're burning them. They're burning them in this early stuff. It's a waste of time. A waste of time. Schwazoom says, Nick expressed concern at the possibility of the TCPA required letters not being sufficient. TDMA. Ty, what is the situation regarding those? I can actually answer that. They had 60 days to object to the TDMA letters not being sufficient, and they failed to do so. So the TDMA letters are probably, as a matter of law, sufficient because they failed to object to them. There's in the TDMA, there's an actual rule that says if you have a concern and need and believe that the TDMA letters are not sufficient, what you do is you file a motion, which they have not done, levying your objections specifically against the TDMA letters. Now, my concern was also based on misinformation because despite them saying that Shane has said that he's released all of the TDMA letters, he has not actually released all of the TDMA letters. He released a clarification letter that is roughly 10 pages that had the 340-something tweets attached. I am told that that is not the complete letters, the complete volume of letters that was sent, that each tweet actually had its own accompanying letter as required under the statute, and that was merely a clarification that followed. So, yeah, in any case, they didn't object to it within the time limit. They're screwed on that. Absolutely screwed. Ron Toye's Mangina says, hey, Ty, is it common for the opposition to talk down to you or your colleagues? Calling Casey's degrading remark to one of the Amazons. Surprised you didn't make him eat his teeth, and considering he ain't getting paid, you might have done him a favor. Is it common? Maybe. Is it proper? It shouldn't really be that way. It shouldn't. Casey should have addressed Ty. Ty is senior partner, and that is his associate. And Ty was doing the deposition. He should have addressed Ty in that he chose Carrie for whatever reason. I think it was a bad play. Bad play. Nia says, if they actually do depose you, would they force you to tell them where you got the vids from in an effort to tie you to Vic and Ty? Thanks, by the way. Well, apparently Ty just went ahead and told everybody that Ty provided them to me. Not that I think that was any big secret. But in a hypothetical where Ty had not done that, no, they would have a very, very big problem getting that information out of me. There are journalistic shield laws in both Texas and Minnesota that protect anonymous sources. So there you go. Tyler Knox says, jack-offs on Twitter are claiming you and Ty are screwing over Vic because you're apparently making money off of his pain. Lots of goalposts moving. I'm not making money off of Vic's pain. Actually, I'm making money off of Vic's healing. They want to call it making money off of Vic's pain because they want Vic to be in pain. They want Vic to remain on the down low. I don't think he is. I think Vic is winning in social media. I think Vic is winning in the anime community in opinions. And I think as more and more of this stuff, as the light is shown upon it, that Vic is doing better. Now, I know I don't know that Vic will ever be back to Funimation or Rooster Teeth again. And let me just suggest that what's coming out soon, I don't know that anybody would want that anyway. But, Vic is going back to shows, and the fans still have Vic's back, and it's about the fans. It's not about the studios. It's not about the other voice actors. It's for the fans. It's about the fans. And that's all I care about. All I care about is what do the fans think of Vic. And I think largely the fans support him almost overwhelmingly. So there we go. And just if you want to question that, go look at those deposition streams. Go look at them. They A lot of people watch those. A lot of people watch those. Let's see. Tyler Nog. Oh, wait, no. Riku1186 says 1.2 million raised for Kyoto Animation. Awesome. Boag says pray for Kyoani. Super Megaboy says who's going to win, Nick? I believe Vic will. I do. I don't know. There's a lot of time left. I believe Vic will win. Actually, I believe Vic has almost already won. I think those depositions being public is one of the most devastating things for the battle that's going on in public between Monica Rial, Ron Toye, and Vic. I think those depositions were devastating for them. They look like trash people. They look like conniving scumbags. Vic looks like a guy who got wrongfully accused of some garbage. So there you go. Ryan Smith says, sorry you might have answered this, but does moron filing the TCPA mean we lost, or Vic is going to get talked about more on Twitter? It's going to get talked about. If it's truly an almost 500-page TCPA, as they say, you can imagine that T. Greg Doucette will tweet 27,000 times tomorrow and may die from it. So that'll be interesting. He'll be talked about on Twitter. They'll really be hamming up their TCPA, and we'll just see what happens. We'll just see what happens as affidavits come out, and they get to just stew on what they are. Gawker's Death Rattle says, GoFundMe isn't letting me donate. Tried 3 cards. Sorry, buddy. It might be frozen temporarily, but it should be back soon if it's not. Although I think it's back now. I don't know. But you've got to, unfortunately, you have to use a non-funny name. Sven Sorensen says, 1, does Stan have a suit jacket? 2, does the pattern of the suit jacket not move when he does? And 3, does he gesticulate wildly when he talks? I hope so. Asphyxiation says, on a scale between sides still attached, holy crap, my sides are now in another dimension. How powerful was your laughter when you saw that affidavit? Let's say my sides were almost a big enough bracelet for Mars Girl. At that point. Obscure Anime Guy says, hey, Unky Nick, what's Vic Locks mean? I don't know. Ash Ukahime says, hello, Nick. I've been watching your videos and I'm a fan of your work. Thank you for what you've done for Vic and the anime community. Have you ever seen a case this insane before? It's also my birthday. Hey, happy birthday, Ash. The closest I've seen is the LOL suit, but it died before all of the real crazy stuff could happen. It was dismissed. Vic's case is taking over on that one for me. Fighting Slug, thank you. Earjuice says, my actual name is alt-right Nazi, so my GoFundMe donations are good. Sheepdog song for outro. Yo, I made sure it's safe for work. I need to shill, bro. Blaine20 says, rip Yasuhiro Takamoto, animator of Tenchi series, director of Full Metal Panic, and others. Finfrog says, your donors are problematic. Tom S.A. Savage says, rip Black Jackie, hashtag represent. Damian Jacka says, you got me, Nick. I'm secretly a water bottle who's donating. I apologize. I knew there was one out there. Fancy My Wagon. Fancy My Wagon says, what happens if Vic wins? What does it represent? Represents that the people who have been talking about him are lying. That they, as stated, could not produce evidence, and that they set out to destroy his career, and that's that they destroyed the anime community out of jealousy. Out of jealousy. James Bieniek says, don't be Rama Rama. Midnight in Exile says, I want to know if there were double mastectomy scars peeking out of that beater. Green Bullet Production says, disappointed I couldn't put my mean name in the GoFundMe. Can I still put it here? Of course you can. I donated anyway, but not as Ron Toye's rescinded testicles. Raccoona says, funnily enough, the false name my Facebook is under was allowed. I love that you called me Raccoona Matata. That was already my dumb social media facade. Leon S. Kennedy says, Nick and Ty, Claire Redfield or Ada Wong asking for a friend. God, I don't know who these people are. Claire Redfield. Oh, from Resident Evil. All right. Ada Wong. Oh, from Resident Evil 2. Dang. Tough choice. Tough choice. I'm going with Ada Wong. Afro Man John says, so I guess a name to avoid in the GoFundMe would be Fuhrer Lemoyne's Wild Egyptian Chariot Ride, now with extra lung fluid. Yep, I don't know if they'd take that one. Wingzer012 says, Stan Dahlin for the win. No one important says, that BTFO Monica's testimony. It sure does. Tassia says, and watch the spin. Watch the spin on Law Twitter about, oh, it doesn't matter. They're going to ignore the fact that Monica raised him as the only person other than Vic and Monica who could weigh in on it. They're going to ignore that fact. They're going to ignore that Vic never raised Stan Dahlin as a witness. They're going to ignore everything about it and just pretend like it doesn't matter that Monica's story is completely blown out by the only person on earth that she says could know. God, it's beautiful. Cassius says, hey, Nick, I can't recall if you did, but I think you missed my super chat yesterday. If not, I may have missed it, but could you perhaps look? Not easily. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't think I missed any, but it's possible. Zombie says, Monica BTFO. Forever229 says, Ultra Combo! Supreme victory. BTL Video Production says, oof. Salad V8 says, when Vic wins, hopefully he's able to find work at Viz. Thanks, Nick, and keep up the great work. Hashtag Vic for part 5, baby. RickU1186 says, they're one witness. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. Thomas Conley says, festering groin of Jay-Sean Lemoyne here. I doubled my donation money from $5 to $10 under Anonymous. God save Vic and Gott strafe de Lugenpress. They're okay. Kidda says, Kioani had no sprinklers or fire doors. Wooden spiral staircase in center of building. Emergency exit was locked. 20 dead in front of locked door. All huge names in anime industry legends died today. Very, very depressing. Very depressing. Unknown Watcher says, so Stan just made you lose again. Psych. Jose M says, Monica shot herself in the gunt. Nasenda says, hashtag we stand for Stan. Trex Tenke says, is it possible that Monica came on to Vic instead of the guy she said she was flirting with, but Vic rebuffed her advances? I guess anything's possible. There's no witnesses anymore. Blaine20 says, donation by Lemoise's last functioning bronchial branch. Zombie says, how embarrassing. Albert Reed, Kyle, Maria Ruiz, thank you for the donations very much. The Reclusiarch says, is it your own whiskey brand? You said brewing. No, it's not my own whiskey brand. I don't make whiskey. I wish I did. Kay says, I stand with Vic. Thanks for all you do, Nick. That one guy online says, Ty, how hard is it to trying not to laugh at the defense? I think he would say, no comment. Unani says, my cockles are warmed. B Woods Play says, why you always lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop effing lying. A song for Monica. Sans Fard says, why you care about this so much? Torts are weak sauce. I love there's so much good stuff here. What do you want to hear about, Sans Fards? Ethan King says, I love it when you lean in close to your mic and play coy with the chat. It always makes me chuckle. Me too. Wingzer012 says, you lost the beard? Well, he's back. Or he was. Nacho Dragon 659 says, if Helen of Troy was the face that launched 1,000 ships, Monica's face sank 1,000 ships on sight. New Demon says, now with twice the boomerang. And I'm sorry about that. That was a weird artifact with how Hangouts was set up on this computer. Harbinger 345 says, the beard cometh, then the beard boomereth. Secret Squirrel Tech says, I sent a GoFundMe with my name and I chose to show Anon like 3 days ago and they refunded it. Sounds like they are lying and just covering up. No, let's see how they go over the next couple days. I think everything will be okay. Intimidator 0108 says, big time boomer fail LMFAO. Lily Liver says, Tiberius, who should I put in my first kill team? What race? What faction? Unknown Watcher says, Vegeta. What Scouters say his boomer level is? What? Over 9,000. Over 9,000. I'm not blaming it on the computer. It was my fault for not checking, but I blame it on the computer for me not checking. Lion Cross says, Ty, you legend. Blasey and Domo says it's not a stream unless there's a boomer moment. Eric Reeder says, I just wanting to ask Ty Beard if he's aware Jennifer Lynn Hunt, aka LJ Montello, has committed tortious interference by convincing the leadership of Liberty CityCon to remove Vic from the convention. Oh, he's aware. He's aware. Guess it's going to make her affidavit a little less convincing. No one important says, Nick, hi Chew, Captain America, I know that reference. Gambler of Fate says, talk about a freaking mic drop for Vic, awesome. I agree. Cameron Straub says, hey Nick, my GoFundMe told me to quit being a soy last night in bed, or my girlfriend told me to quit being a soy last night in bed. My manhood was shook. Should I just go ahead and start preparing my snack tray now? Oh my God. Well, you got two options, buddy. One is you prepare the snack tray. Two is you find some other chump to bring you the snack tray and you lay pipe. Jillian Seed says, Ty, advice for non-Texas for DFW legal market after LS law school. DFW legal market is going to be very saturated. Every major metro area with a law school is going to be very saturated. So, good luck. Ty's not here, obviously, so you'll have to take my humble advice. Start making the connections now. Intern or extern with a law firm, and latch onto them. Make friends there, and hopefully they'll invite you back. Comfy Couch says, Nick, have you heard of Anime Detour? It's a con in the Twin Cities. I have. I'm thinking of asking them to invite Vic, and it would be cool if you and Ty went. Well, you got to ask them. I don't know if they like Vic or me or Ty. Is the Todd Habercorn case hands off? The Todd Habercorn case hasn't been filed at the moment, so there's nothing to really talk about. Melanie Maurer says, hey, Nick, my dad and I have been watching for a while now, and we appreciate the attention you're bringing this. Also, check your Twitter DMs. Okay. If you really need to get it to me, you might want to email it to me because I don't know. Tanomi Kevin 1986, thank you for the donation. Same with James Ridge. Malachi Tomlinson says, which would you revisit first as a member of Scouts? Cartilage, radar guns, or government using drones to take pictures of private property? Oh, SCOTUS. SCOTUS. You mean curtilage? Curtilage? I don't think you mean cartilage. I think you mean curtilage. Drones. Drones. I'm not a big fan of the pictures of private property and like they're in a helicopter looking down into your property. That's fine. That's fine. Harbinger 345 says, Nick asked Ty to make a lot of noise against the mic. He can't. His lungs work. Indie Visualist says, Funny can buy the tape. What is their strategy? Don't know. Funimation wasn't deposed there. So why would they help Monica and Ron? Red Pirate 115 says, have any of you guys heard of Kyoto Animation arson? May the victims rest in peace and the perpetrator burn in hell. Lord of Veggie says, with all the lies and the other side's legal documents, would they be subject to a bar complaint? No, not likely. Seems they are walking on thin ice doing this. Their case is on thin ice. Their case. Indie Visualist says, seems that the initial thinking of Funny and Kick Vic was that Vic would never be able to afford to bring a case. Must be why the GoFundMe burns them. Yep. X Varna says, you can read this aloud or not. Been a bit of a week, but your guys' boomerisms and banter lifted my spirits. Thanks sincerely for all you guys do. My pleasure. My pleasure. Mr. Jedite says, Ty, how annoyed did you get when Ron kept saying, I don't recall? Did you feel like punching him? He would say, no comment. Damian Storm says, Ty, do you know of anything that will help the case again progress at all? Time. Do you even know why we're here? Lemoyne, let Ty hear the voice. Objective form. Ron, I don't recall. No, anything that will help the case progress at all is just they've been waiting for them to file the TCPA this entire time. Please, dear God, let us just move past this TCPA. Then we can get to the real work. Deckna says, a toast to both Nick and Ty. Truly amazing work. Hey, thank you. Noir777 says, hey, Nick, I sent your bribe money via the GoFundMe like we agreed. Can I have my Vic and Ty body pillows back now? Yes, but there are extra holes in them. Farad says, what's the latest on the Markey situation? Just joined the stream and haven't heard anything on that end of this in quite a long time. Markey's, well, since Funimation filed their TCPA, all of the discovery has stayed. So now we're just waiting on Markey to file her TCPA. And then finally, when all these TCPAs get overcome, like I said, the real work can begin. Pirate Skeleton says, in your opinion, should they have filed TCPA immediately? Yes, especially with how poorly those depositions went, and that has given Vic a lot of time to produce more affidavits from favorable witnesses. Waiting for the depots might have hurt them. It absolutely did. By the way, love my new wallet. Hey, cool. Thank you. Lone Espada says, meanwhile, on Dragonbeard Z, Rekieta, what does the Clouder say around Ron's soy levels? It's over 9,000. Also, Monica should try a no soy diet. Well, I think she does. Damian Storm says, Ty, how did you feel when Lemoyne told your female correspondent to behave? That was actually Casey Eric who did that. And I don't think he was too happy about it. Father Mazga says, Nick, you should ask Ty if Miss Monica's bull showed up to the deposition. I don't know if he could answer that question. Bubblegum Babeface says, Vic Min Yeet Yeet has the love of his fans behind him. I think so. Jarrell Navarro says, can Ty subpoena current text messages, emails, tweets of Ron, Monica, and Jamie? They have to produce them. It's not a subpoena. It's an ongoing discovery request. Prove even more how slimy they are from Vic's deposition questions. Now, they can't... Oh, sorry. They will not be able to get the tweets or text messages that they sent to their attorneys during deposition. That wouldn't work. Bruce Rodriguez says, hey, Ty, how tall are you? Shorter than me. The Giver 77 says, Sam sounded like a pale doughboy in his dad's suit. John sounded like a beak-nosed librarian who takes himself too seriously. Can Ty confirm or deny? I don't think he would have anything negative to say about either Sam or John. Sean Mack says, well, Ty, you're more patient than me. I wanted to punch Ron in the face. It's yes or no, or I don't know. Not looks like it. Brian W. says, what happens now that Stan Dahlin called Monica out on her perjury? Well, that's going to be used in the TCPA filings. No one important says, it's not like Panty is Jamie, stocking is Monica, and Garter Belt is Sabbath. What are the chances of that? That, who knows? Bruce Rodriguez says, you've heard of 1D4chan, right? The best 40K wiki? I have. Llama Boy says, age of consent in Japan is 13, so it's not weird to them. It's kind of weird, though. Lady Lavalin says, I love you, Ty. Super Saiyan Serg says, thank you, Lord Beard. Sony has been censoring games. Archangel of Life says, you want to know how much money is in anime? Just look at the GoFundMe for Kyoto Animation, 1.2 million and growing. Thank you for covering Vic. My pleasure. Ragnarok Knight says, can Toye, Rial, and Markey be arrested for conspiracy with intent to kill as their case correlates to Julius Caesar? Parallels are striking. Not likely. There would have to be very good evidence that they literally intended to murder Vic. Andros, the Warrior High Alpha, says, honored to meet you both, Ty and Nick. You both are the perfect lethal weapons. Vic will one-punch man Funimation to oblivion. Let's get drinks one day. I'm with it, buddy. Jacob Gowland says, what's your favorite lolly? Who's your favorite lolly? I wouldn't be able to answer that. Carlos Portillo says, to Mr. Beard, have you or Vic seen that video of Sean Schemmel bashing on Vic being a child predator? He's next to another Funimation VA in said video. I don't know if they've seen that, but probably, but I'll send it along. Keldeo the Horse says, can I get a shout out to Sean Ranklin, Ty and Nick? Well, I can. Ty's gone. What up, Sean Ranklin? What up? Taco Jones says, hey, congratulations on hitting 70,000 subscribers. I did it right before the stream. I was very sad because I was trying to show my kids who love YouTube. I was about to hit 70,000 subs. And right up until they went to bed, I was at 69,999. And then after they were asleep, I refreshed and I was at 70,002. But thank you very much. Jamal Breezy says, will you ever have fans on your video chats? I don't know. Call-in shows on YouTube are very, very risky. And I'm not sure about them. Pro Hero All Might says arsonist was an angry train foamer, last I heard. No One Important says for Ty, Kick Vic is in the chat. Anything you want to say to them? No. Tyler Warner, thank you. Zypher Warrior says all my donations refunded except Jason Voorhees. Deathwish says I'll just donate with my real and legit nickname. Monica is a lying thought between my actual first and last nickname or name. Romeo Garbo says Ty's thoughts on the Bismarck, overhyped or under? Oh, that would have been a good question. Sorry, I didn't get to it while he was still here. Neo Jojo says, when you try to ruin a man's career, but it results in pissing off the weeb community and getting a bunch of nerds armed with knowledge of the law. I like people being being armed with knowledge of the law. Blaine20 says, one of our own got a refund for using the name Anonymous. Well, I think, to be fair, they were refunding I think they refunded almost every donation that came in over the past 2 days, which is probably about all of them that they could refund. Because like I said, the money sweeps very frequently. CC1138 says, a shame I can't donate under broke asthmatic Michael Chiklis impersonator, but I will still give, raising a glass of Ararat brandy to you and Vic. Oh, hey, thank you. Sounds delicious. Enter the QB says, Vegeta is known as the Prince of all Saiyans. Perhaps we should crown Sabbath as the Prince of all traitors. Oh, man. Blaine20 says, Nick, Your Honor, motion to break for super chats. Blaine20 says, hey, I loved my 86 Ford Ranger. Cold Wolf says, Soye putting chemicals in water turned sheepdogs gay. Grunu says, rather than depose you, they could send you super chats. It's cheaper and faster to ask you questions. I mean, you are obligated to read them, right? That's the promise I make. Solo Beverly says, Ty, what was the reason for you to depose Ron instead of a fellow woman? I'm sure Ron would have been open to another gal like herself. Thanks. Rude. Asphyxiation says, Ty, I'm sorry for hitting on your daughter. I was just being nice. Call off the Amazons. They're too short and keep going for my shins. Nick, help. You're on your own, buddy. Bad Vibe says, has Ty heard I Do Not Recall song? I don't know. But I'll tell you, I got a content ID claim for that song. Apparently some Mexican sounding song uses the same music. I have of course submitted a contested that content ID claim. I'm waiting for a response. Snarkticon DM says, if Ty's cat assaults someone, is that hashtag Mewtwo? Mazetism says, had something from Mr. Beard, but I don't recall my message. Aaron Sutton says, after y'all win the case, can you please sue the studio that made season 2 of One Punch Man and prevent them from making season 3? Oh no, does it go downhill? Snarkticon DM says, I want a new mug, one that won't make me sick. Pub Test says, did it seem odd for the deposing lawyers to mispronounce Vic's name and then attempt to claim Vic was a famous person? It's weird to me. It's not probative, or it's not, whatchamacallit? It's not definitive, we'll say. But I'd bring it up. Christine Hansopoulos says, Ty, I love your voice and accent. You remind me of my favorite country singer, Toby Keith. Thank you for helping Vic. Can you do anything to stop Liberty City from breaking Vic's contract? We're brokenhearted. Stay tuned, Christine. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. No One Important says, for Ty, don't know if it was you or Vic, but directing funny to all those employees via name drop was beautiful. That was John Volney asking Vic the question. Do I ever get scared that Ron might send some goons after me? What are they going to do? Bring more snacks? Scables says, hey, Nick, I paid $1 yesterday to you towards the end of your stream. Very close family member of mine was sexually assaulted, and by Monica's reaction, I don't find a shred of truth in her words. Thank you. Thank you for that. Hellgate Wrestling says, does Geekdom 101 support Kick Vic? Gotta ask Geekdom. Don't know. RA says, the Chad Honorable Ty versus the Virgin Slimy Lemoyne. Alyssa Metcalf says, I was very unbiased to both sides until the deposition videos. Thank you for your awesome work and sharing those. I believe the truth speaks for itself. Me too. Me too, Alyssa. Thank you. No One Important says, hey, Ty, what is Best Girl and why is it real? Gross. Gross. Unbeknownst X12 says, watch Edward and Full Metal Alchemist, both series. Matt Hayes says, it felt slimy during Vic's depo. 1, asked him about the 3 incidents investigated by employer. 2, asked him about his personal sex life. And 3, brought it back around to his dismissal and feelings on it. Yep. Caldeo the Horse says, when Ty said, I'm indulging you to soy, that was badass. I agree. That was good. George Lucas says, hey, Ty, you listened to a band called Sabaton. It good. Master Doom says, Kick Vic is a sham. Liar, liar, jelly beans on fire. Krista Joe says, having watched Carrie depose Monica, can you use the same deposition technique on a defendant that has already seen how it's done? How does that work? Yes, it does. People are remarkably pliable in that way. Because, well, you're definitely talking. I know you're just fooling with them, but you're talking to me and you're listening to me. Lion Cross says, is it likely that Nick will get deposed? We'll see. What is the path that would most likely lead to this happening? Well, they'll have to get Chup to agree to it. They'll have to then domesticate it in a Minnesota court, and they'll have to overcome any objections that I raise. Real Spider Phantom says, Vic was in over half the anime I watched in English before switching to subtitles. I didn't know who he was until this event. He is not a public figure. Your Cloud One Yellow Pearl says, the fact that Death Battle, Rooster Teeth, is out of nowhere doing Edward Elric versus Aang and more than likely going to kill Edward is a jab at Vic. Kichi says, Ty, how does it feel to represent a unicorn? I'm sure it's very unique. Patrick Radcliffe says, Ty, does Funimation have a hard copy of their code of conduct policy? I don't think they have one. I don't think they have one at all. Shout out to Ty. You're welcome. That's from Random Man Dan. Carlos Portillo says, has Ty seen the video of Sean Schemmel and Sonny Strait bashing on Vic? It's an old video, but still on YouTube. Schemmel is very disturbing in it. Schemmel's very disturbing everywhere. Crow751 says, waifu and husbando are the phonetically Japanese pronunciations of wife and husband, if I'm not mistaken. Fatman56 says, a waifu is your favorite anime character, and it also refers to a sex doll as well. There you have way more patience. Ty, you have way more patience than I'll ever have. Good night, guys. Hey, thanks. Good night to you. Let's see. Lion, where did that one go? Yeah, Loki Mischief says, have you seen the video of Sean Schemmel mocking Vic saying he only does 12-year-old boys? I've seen clips of it. I haven't watched the whole thing. Asia Fraser says, Ty, will the tweets in which the defendants are replying to be revealed in court to show context? Of course. Of course. Al Valentin says, Dream Rape Girl got a lawyer wants to sue Vic. Oh, please. Please do. Christopher Lee says, so glad I finally caught a live stream. You've done a great job covering and helping Vic. They should get some kind of punishment other than monetary over this. People lose years in prison over lies like this. Oh, I think their punishment is going to go beyond monetary. Their reputations, if Vic wins, their reputations are in the dirt. They will be toxic in every community. Blaine20 says, Defendant's Counsel, we will stipulate that Vic is not a public figure if we get to live stream Nick's depo while he's in drag. Charlie Spurs says, to clarify, I'm not special needs. I'm high-functioning autism spectrum disorder. Was a tad upset at losing an $800 bike. Lemois must have stolen my bike. Well, thanks for clarifying. And everybody should be upset at losing an $800 bike, but it's just not worth losing other things over. Snarkdacon DM says, your Hopper voice sounds like shipwreck. Alyssa Metcalf says, thank you for posting the depositions. I was unbiased before them. After seeing them, I think you can figure out who I side with. Good work. Thank you. Dizzy Drummer, thank you for the donation. Robert H. says, a few shekels for the whiskey fund. Thanks for the laughs, Nikki. Thank you. Melidius says, Nick, I am writing a book and want to make a side character based off of you. Wanted to ask permission before I did this. If you want info before making a decision, I can email later. No, go ahead. You use your creative work. And if I inspire some of it, I'm flattered and honored, even if it's mean. Zeke Asakura says, I wonder how Monica will get out of this one. She set the plane of Funimation on fire. Not even her rotten parachute coochie can save them now. Holy goodness, that's disgusting. Infernal Iris says, didn't Lemois say he had something big to release this week in favor of his clients? Any idea what that was about? It was the TCPA. The TCPA is going to be very surprising and interesting for people. Snarkdacon DM says, can we mail West Nile skeeters to Duchette? I would not recommend it. Stooge Muffin Stuffin says, I know how people feel about dubs, but the dub for Spice and Wolf is really good. Mr. Lister says, yesterday you said Moron's hope of TCPA fails was to be a Funimation employee under their umbrella. Doesn't that make the situation worse for Funimation? Yeah, oh yeah. Gia Predator NOS says, do you think Monica fabricated the hotel story? I don't know. I think she misremembered it and fabricated several details, whatever the story may be. Like, what is fabricating the story? Did she go to Vic's hotel room? Maybe. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Well, if she went to his hotel room is a story of fabrication, I don't know. At some point it becomes a fabrication, some point it doesn't. If Vic and what if they shared consensual kissing? Is that a fabrication? She misremembering details? Real question is always, of course, is she defaming him now? Nova Zero says Ada Wong 5 times fast. Ada Wong, Ada Wong, Ada Wong, Ada Wong, Ada Wong, Ada Wong. There you go. Conspiratorial Walnut says, so I'm not an actual donating walnut? Racist. Well, that would be the conspiracy. Rogue says, the arsonist of KyoAni needs a bullet to the face. In Minecraft, apparently. Maytrow says, it would be a shame if Gab Dissenter was used on the GoFundMe page. Can't imagine what would get posted there. Neo Jojo says, just found out YouTube Premium gives me a free super chat. Hey, thank you. Freighter J says, has anyone pointed out the Jelly Bean is a Majin Buu reference? Vic and Monica are Dragon Ball actors. It's just an inside joke. Inside. Really bringing the sexual jokes to my stream. God of Plague says, second Hollow Spice and Wolf best waifu. MMA Force says, nothing to say other than thank you, Nick. You're welcome. And finally, Bad Vibe says, Vic is unique. Ron is very Eunice. Eunice. And then was there are a couple more. Hated 7 Days Die says, didn't you want to shill Ridge today? I did, but my wallet is downstairs, so I'll shill it tomorrow. Schwazoom says, judging by how Monica first said that Stan Dahlin saw Vic assaulting her, then changed it in deposition, do you think she told Eric Lemoine the first story and they told her to amend it because Stan would be brought in to testify? Nope. I don't think they did that at all. I would not accuse them of that. And second, I don't think they did. I don't think they thought Stan would be brought up. Or if they did, they thought that Stan would be on Monica's side. Jeremiah Johnson says, maybe after Sabat gets exposed, he'll be able to look for a new job. I hear snack tray waiters are in high demand nowadays. All right, guys, that's it. That's it. Thank you so much for joining me today. Consider joining me tomorrow. Tomorrow should be very interesting. Either way, tomorrow we'll probably start off with Meyer versus Wade. I've been putting it off for too long. Too much deposition stuff. Meyer versus Wade will start. Yes, let's check the GoFundMe. Let's check for the GoFundMe here. You guys have been amazing. We're back up to $225,909. I'll bring it over real quick. $225,909. That's up over $2,000 back from where it was. Brought down too. So thank you for the donations. Again, sorry that we can't do the thing anymore involving names that I find funny for risk. You know, I don't want to risk anything with the GoFundMe. Of course, that's more important than a spot of comedy, but I do appreciate your continued donations and support. Thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll start with Meyer versus Wade, and then we will move into whatever happens. TCPA is likely on the table. There may just be a huge bombshell. I don't know. I hope so. God, I hope so. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. There are two more chats that came in. David Dubai says, Geekdom is 100% kick Vic. F him up. He's a gump. And Yakosai says, I didn't know who Vic was till this poop storm kicked off. Now, not only do I know who he is, I've become a fan. Another great show, Nick. Hey, thanks, buddy. Thank you. All right. Let me go to the Whiskey Drinking Lawyer song. And we're going to hit this. There it's going. It's going. I'll turn it down. Thank you for joining me tonight. Join me tomorrow. Tomorrow will be, whatever it is, will be great. It's been my pleasure to be with you this evening. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Peace.
jogging along with his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight. We'll hear some lawsplaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an odd bag of Balmore and Lafroig. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lawsplaining tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lawsplaining tonight. From the white shores of Nan to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are.